evening, and thank you for joining us for the 10th episode of the Circles of Trust podcast. We made it to 10, which I didn't think we were going to do because of my various illnesses and procrastination, but we got here.
Yep.
And we are joined by our lovely special guest, Tori, who coincidentally and unfortunately happens to be my wife. No, she's great. DV and I talk about Marvel stuff all the time. Tori's the person who actually got me into watching the MCU, who really kind of forced me to watch every Marvel movie leading up to Infinity War and Endgame so I could understand everything.
Great.
It's been fun, you know, even though a lot of it pisses me off. I do have to thank her for like introducing me to something that riles me up, because even that is an interest or a passion of some kind. But I also like talking to her about Marvel stuff because she has dog shit takes and she's a Marvel apologist. So there's going to be a lot of contention, I hope, because today's episode is all about Ant-Man Quantum of Solace and how dog shit of a movie it is. At least, I'm not trying to bury the lead here. I might dislike this movie. Might.
I was trying to decide if you just messed up on purpose,
no, that was
or if you
super
legitimately didn't know what the name of the movie was.
That's the bit.
That was also James Bond, Daniel Craig's worst.
Yes.
Out of history.
That was a deliberate choice.
I saw what you did there.
I haven't seen any James Bond films, so I would have no idea.
You are lying. You've seen Casino Royale.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have. You watched it with me.
Are you confusing me for your ex?
I am not confusing you with my ex.
Hey.
No.
Hey,
so this is a thing. This is a thing that happens sometimes where I'm like adamant about like, no, you and I watched this thing. No.
When did we watch it?
I feel like
is off to a great start.
I feel like we watched it on TV at your parents' house. No? All right. Well, there's just another false memory I've created for myself. I've seen a lot of James Bond movies. I think they're pretty cool. But we're not here to talk about James Bond.
Nope.
We're here to talk about Ant-Man and the Quantum Pain. I do know what it is. What
was the one video game? Quantum Break?
Yes,
that would honestly, that's a better bit. Rewind. We're going to cut all that. We're going to talk about Ant-Man and Quantum Break because people know that reference.
You left the Wasp out.
I don't think nobody
gives a fuck about the
Wasp. You can't leave Wasp out.
Tori played it for a little bit because it was Remedy.
I played it, so it was Remedy, and I played it until I got to the little television that had the Alan Wake singer in it.
Yep.
And then I accomplished what I meant to, I'm done.
The game was really fun.
We bought a whole Xbox One for that.
We did. We bought an Xbox One.
That was one of the reasons why I bought an Xbox also.
And
it was good.
And then we sold that, and then I bought another Xbox One specifically to play Phantasy Star Online 2 for 2 months before it moved to PC. And then I never turned it on ever again.
Now he just uses it as a shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It holds my fuckboy hat.
Yep. An actual fuckboy hat.
Here, go pass it over here.
Covering cat.
Oh, it's drenched in cat hair. This is my fuckboy hat.
Yeah. He actually has one.
It actually looks beautiful on camera. I'm not gonna lie.
It does look.
I'm tempted.
It does look pretty dope, though.
I'm tempted. That's not a bad look for me. I might have to be a hat guy soon, but
it does look pretty dope.
All right, Mufasa, you can have that back. Now that we've been joined by our special fourth guest, or fourth member, you're technically not a guest. You're here all the time. This is the second guest. You're the first guest.
Isn't he also here all the time?
He is.
Yeah, it's true.
He's in just about every episode.
He bombs this podcast.
Every single episode, he's there.
So I also want to just mention, it is the 10th episode. We are doing a little bit of celebratory drinking. DV and I, not Tori, because she's a square. But I just want to say we're all drinking responsibly. Nobody's going to be chugging handles while they're driving home. Make sure you drink responsibly. Drinking responsibly is important. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get really drunk and then I'm going to go to sleep. That's my plan. Because we're going to talk about Ant-Man, and Ant-Man makes me fucking mad.
So I want to start off by saying I saw this opening weekend, and I think on the last episode, I think I mentioned it.
You did, and we were like, yeah, we're going to go see it. We don't want to get into it.
Yeah, so initially when I left the theater, I thought it was pretty good. Like, I was like, oh, there's nothing wrong with this. I don't know why people are shitting on it. But I got home, I thought about it some more. So just so you know, when I watch movies, I play them back in my mind, like the scenes that I can remember. And then I just think like, okay, was that a good scene or was that a shit scene? Everything turned out to be shit, like as I thought about it. And I'm like, why is this happening? Or, oh, I can't stand this bitch. Or that was dumb. Or MODOK looks like trash. Like that's just how it happened. It just blossomed into, I don't really like this movie. At first I was like, we left the theater, we were like, yeah. And then it just turned into, no, it wasn't very good.
Now, Tori, what was your impression of the movie first thing, like walking out? How did you feel about the movie?
It wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst. And like following Black Panther 2, where Black Panther 2 is the strongest movie they've released since Endgame, and then this being the one to start off phase 5, it's like, I guess we don't want to set the bar too high, but it's also not too low. So it's just kind of somewhere in the middle. Like I said, it's not my least favorite Marvel movie by far.
Yeah.
But it's not even going to break top 10.
Nope.
No, God, no. It's not even going to break top 30.
You realize there's only like 42.
Yes. Yeah. It's not going to break top 30. This is bottom of the barrel. I left the movie thinking, did my friend DV get hit in the head really hard and not tell any of us? Because what possessed this man to believe this movie just wasn't that bad? I was confused. I felt a little betrayed by my friend, who normally has very reliable MCU opinions. That is to say, he hates things as much as I do. But I get it, because watching the movie, it doesn't present itself as inherently offensive.
It doesn't.
It does a really good job of keeping that really thin coat of paint on the top.
Yep.
That makes you think, this is okay. I'm here to talk about, with my special eyes, looking beyond that thin veil of paint. And I have a comprehensive list of notes and questions, which I would like to address.
Oh, yeah.
Point by point, so we can all weigh in on this. My first one, this is a stream of consciousness, so this is not in chronological order for the movie. Obviously, gigantic spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
I'm going to be talking about everything.
Huge spoilers.
The whole thing. This whole episode, after this,
huge spoilers.
watch the movie and then come back, or just don't watch the movie because it's bad and don't support Marvel's bad projects. Why is Cassie mad about Scott being gone for 5 years?
I've already addressed this with you.
You have.
But you need to address it for the audience.
So it wasn't that she was mad about him being gone. Mm-hmm. It was that she was upset that since he came back and he fought Thanos and, you know, everything got settled, he wrote his book and that's it. He hasn't done anything superhero-y since. And so to her, she feels like he is someone that has been given the ability, not even necessarily powers, because he doesn't really have any powers aside from the suit, but he has been given the ability to right the wrongs of the world. And she saw that as a child. So as a child, she's probably looking up to him as a hero. And all of a sudden, he stopped being that hero. And she's like...
That's a really gracious interpretation of her character. The first couple things I noticed in the movie was how much they demonized Scott for wanting to live a normal life. Because if you remember his backstory within the MCU, he's an ex-con. He had to deal with a pretty nasty divorce. Yep. He was trying to do his best to raise a kid. He had to take dead-end jobs because he was a convicted felon. Yep. So
got fired from Baskin Robbins.
Yep.
So
now they love him.
So he helps save the universe, the multiverse. He helps save all of creation.
He was a big reason why they won.
Huge
like a
part.
huge part. Without him, it wouldn't have happened.
If it wasn't for the rat.
Yeah, the rat is the MVP, but the rat wouldn't exist if Scott didn't already go into the quantum realm and do all that quantum shit.
He didn't really go into the quantum realm.
No.
Well, he didn't go far enough. He was like floating.
He was on the surface.
Yeah, he was.
It's an ocean. He's in the top layer of the ocean.
Layers.
She was on the seafloor.
Yeah.
Although, watch now. See, I guess we'll get to it.
Yeah,
I was going to say one of the singers that I was surprised I didn't see, but.
So, I got upset with how they demonized him for wanting to live a normal life, considering how much work he's put into saving the world. And Tori touched on it. He doesn't really have any powers. He's got a suit. They can make him big or small. He's got little pads that can make things big or small.
Yep.
That's it. He's not super strong. He's not super fast.
Nope.
He doesn't have a regeneration factor. Nope. Super sight.
And he doesn't even have training.
He doesn't have training. Nope. He's just
like he's not, at least like with Hawkeye, for instance, where Hawkeye has like incredible
Hawkeye was
sight.
the exact comparison I was going to make. Take Hawkeye, take away his ability to use a bow, and put him in a suit that makes him big and small,
and take away his military training.
Yeah, because he had espionage. Like he was that dude. But
true, because when you take away Hawkeye's bow, he just uses a katana and shaves his head. So
yeah, pretty much.
My family's dead. But yeah, that's kind of where it started for me. When I was thinking back of what made me mad, that was at the top of my list.
But do you know the MCU has a track record of people who want to live normal lives? They shit on them. Tony Stark wanted to live a normal life. Fucking dead. So what's her name? Black Widow wanted to live a normal life. Fucking dead. Like they.
The only exception would be Captain America.
But we all know why. We all know why.
Because he's racist. The way they treated Scott in this made me feel the same way about Tony Stark and Pepper in Iron Man 3. It was that same kind of dynamic where he does a really reasonable, logical thing. The fact that his family goes behind his back and starts doing like quantum experiments when he got lost in there for 5 years. He lost 5 years of his life. And he knows that his wife's mother got lost in there for 30 fucking years. And nobody bothers to drop either one of them, who were both lost in there, the tiniest hint of a, hey guys, is it cool if we do this?
Well,
nothing.
Hope tries to justify and say like, well, I tried to talk to you about it. And it's like, I'm pretty sure there's a difference between, hey, what happened while you were down there? And hey, we're building a beacon to go talk to the quantum realm. I think those two conversations would have gone drastically different.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Janet.
Janet.
That rat fuck. We will talk about her.
Janet. Oh my God.
Goddamn Janet. But Janet. The other thing that really pissed me off is that they gave a suit to his daughter without ever telling him or ever asking his consent. And that just being, okay, you and I, we're married. Okay. We have a son who is a cat. Okay. How would you feel if I went and I got a GPS chip put in him and I didn't tell you anything about it, but I was like, this is going to help protect our cat. And I went out and I got him chipped. And then I told you in passing 6 months later, because you were contemplating getting a GPS chip for yourself.
What? I was like, you had me? And then I wasn't sure what the last part came in.
Okay, ignore that last part. Up to the point where...
I
was hoping that hit home. And it did. It worked so good.
I was like, I could follow the GPS piece because I was like, for instance,
Tori, don't try and get too far into it. That was purely a funny. just answer the thing about him.
Well, no, that's what I'm answering is like for him, we've talked about the GPS thing with the chip for him before, and like they say, it's like the size of a grain of rice. However, in rare circumstances, it has caused irreversible harm to the pet.
Yes.
So for him being an indoor cat where yes, there is that risk, there is always that risk of him getting out, but he's deaf. If he gets out,
he's done. He's gonna get
picked up by a hawk and he's gone.
Yeah.
Like there's no calling his name or hey kitty and shaking a bag of treats because he's gonna go.
If he's not making direct eye contact with it, it doesn't register for him. We care a lot about Mufasa. I do something without consulting you to protect him. I justify it to myself and to everyone else. I tell Devi about it.
They never.
I tell the boys about it.
They never even said that it was to protect her.
No, they did.
Did they?
Yes. Specifically, they were like, we were just trying to protect her because they knew she was going out to these rallies because she's a white savior.
But the thing is if any superhero movie ever has, shown what that does, the more superheroes you have, the more it invites trouble.
It's the Goku syndrome. People didn't fuck with Earth that bad until Goku revealed himself. And then every motherfucker in the galaxy was like, oh.
I mean,
that's the whole plot to Civil War.
Their worst enemy was what? What's his name? Garlic Jr.
Yes.
That was like the worst that they had to deal with until Piccolo showed up.
Correct. And then Raditz shows up because
looking for Goku.
And then, he deals with Raditz. Oh, Vegeta and fucking Nappa show up. And then, oh, wow, Frieza is going to a whole other planet. And we got to go stop that bullshit. And it just escalates and escalates and escalates. Yeah. So putting her into that life at all puts her at risk.
And not just that, but to give her this suit, and then when Scott was trying to tell her later on, here's how it's
it's the very basic principle of momentum.
Tap.
Yeah, jump tap.
And she didn't know that. She was messing it up. So it's so you gave her a suit that she doesn't know how to do.
Didn't fucking give her the basics.
Didn't even know how to do that shit.
And again, this technology is incredibly, incredibly dangerous because Scott lost 5 years of his life to it, and Hope's mom lost 30 years of her life to it. This is not a schoolyard prank. This is like life or death.
Actually, all of them got blipped.
All of them got blipped.
in the 5 year blip.
Except for Cassie and Scott.
Scott was gone, wasn't he?
But he wasn't blipped.
He was in the
quantum realm.
Okay, so the snap happened. Everybody disappeared.
So Hope
and it was one person out there that was supposed to bring them back out. They got
all three of them were out there.
Yeah, they got
all three of them got dusted.
He was lost in
because nobody was there to bring him out.
They couldn't bring him out. The rat brought him out.
My thing is why do you not have a safety mechanism on that?
I mean, they weren't thinking that they were going to get blipped, though.
But even still, any scientist,
anything happened.
I mean, heart attacks. But I mean, the odds of 3 people standing outside of it, one having a heart attack, or all 3 of them.
Or what if what if an enemy shows up? Because that would be my concern. Is they're all on people's wanted radar.
Oh man, y'all play GoldenEye. You got Natalia on the computer. You got to shoot them up. That's why they bring the other person back. You got to.
Damn right.
Yeah, come on, man. I mean, I understand. Yes, I get it. But the odds of 3 people not being able to bring him back, they didn't even know Thanos' thing was going on. They had fucking no clue because they weren't even.
It's true. After the fight at the airport, Ant-Man was like, "All right, back to doing me, I guess."
Yeah. They did. He didn't. Nobody knew. So that was just a wild coincidence.
Well, and also, if it's half, that was 75% right there. So.
Yeah.
Not great odds.
Now, granted, as someone who knows how genetics works, I understand that 50-50 is literally you take every person and you flip a coin and whether or not it happens. But
yeah, it's not like a clean 50%.
Yeah.
It can vary wildly based on probability. There is a timeline that exists where Thanos says, I want to give a coin flip to every person, and they all show up heads and nobody dies. It's incredibly unlikely, but given how statistics works, it is possible.
It is possible.
But yeah, I thought it was really, really childish how they treated Scott. And the thing that I replied to Tori, because Tori and I I sent her my notes beforehand, and we didn't really fight, but she immediately went into rebuttals. But she made the point, she wasn't mad about him being gone. She was mad that he wasn't fighting the wrongs of the world anymore, which I get. But I said, I think Scott was fighting in his own way. Being a sign of success and inspiration does not make him weak. His whole thing is getting big or small. He's not Cap or Thor or anything. Instead, he can use his tech to help combat things like world hunger and shortages while being a positive influence for ex-cons and single dads.
Now, the thing I guess I question is, if he had... I don't think it would have mattered, but if he had that conversation with her on why he was taking a step back, I don't think she would have understood.
Hell no, she couldn't understand basic shit. He was just trying to explain to her little things about life. He's older than her. He just started life.
He didn't do any of like the stereotypical bad dad stuff that I'm used to seeing in media. He was just being like a normal, rational person. Like, hey, Cassie, like maybe don't wind up in jail.
Don't go to jail, bitch.
Like I've been to jail. You know my history. Like, don't do that. You don't want this life. You don't want to end up like me. Like he wasn't being like, Cassie, what you did is unacceptable, and I don't care how many black people you were trying to save. It is ridiculous the way that you're acting.
People.
Was it homeless people?
It was homeless people.
Homeless people this time.
They were clearing out a homeless camp.
That's what. Yeah. You're right. I'm still applying the title of white savior to her, but we'll get into why that is later.
Yeah.
Why did Scott not go crazy like Janet did?
I think different dispositions, and also like he didn't go as deep.
So
now my question is, why didn't he bother?
no, but
Because
so
what else do you have to lose?
Scott was fucking floating for 5 years because he didn't make it
and he
to
also
the bottom
said-
where civilizations.
But
were
also
living.
keep in mind, they never made it clear how time works in Quantum Realm. They haven't, because we don't know if time flows the same way. Like I think he said, maybe he said it where he said it felt like 30 minutes.
I have a paragraph about that explicit topic.
I think he said, because when he came out, he had no idea how long it had been. And granted,
he I don't remember if it was like 5 minutes or 30 minutes, but he made a comment about how it didn't feel like it was that long.
yeah, he said it didn't feel like it was 5 years. So I'm wondering if, like, maybe how it is on the surface, time moves much faster, or like slow. I don't know.
But if that's the case,
But they have not established, because, for instance, with where Janet ended up, they didn't, like, it almost seemed 1-to-1.
so I'm
That's
actually
just poor writing.
I'm gonna hop ahead.
I believe that's poor writing.
I'm gonna hop ahead to that point specifically that I wrote down, because I think that was a big part of what upset me about the whole premise was that there are no rules. The quantum realm is the laziest shit they have ever done, even lazier than the multiverse. There are no rules. Nothing makes sense. Scott, Janet, Hope, Hank, and Cassie all get sucked into the portal at different times. Yet they just so happen to land in a stable section where time is relative to the other people that are missing from their party. When Scott got stuck, he was gone for 5 years, said it felt like 5-ish seconds. So because they were down there for a few days, does that mean they're hundreds of years in the future? When Janet was gone for 30 years, why did she age in a linear progression? Shouldn't she have wasted away? Or would it have only felt like she was gone for a few hours? But if that's true, why was she old in the flashbacks with Kang? How did they get the resources to fix up Kang's ship? Is there a quantumverse fucking junkyard they scrounge around in? Who is making technology that's usable at this scale? Everything seems to work the exact same way it does up to normal size, except when it's convenient.
Yeah.
They have guns, energy weapons, explosives, melee weapons, none of which are alive, but suddenly the interface for a complex piece of machinery, like a ship, is some weird goo Hank has to fist.
So it says that he felt he was gone 5 hours.
5 hours, okay.
So at the surface level, it's 1 hour is 1 year for him.
Yeah, if that's how they were working on it. So that means Janet was gone for a day and 6 hours.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, is like, I don't...
But she had enough time to like mobilize a rebellion.
But don't forget the ants. The ants were gone long enough to build a full civilization.
Well, no. They said, so it wasn't necessarily the ants were gone long enough. It says the ants, when they went through, felt like they went through 1,000 years worse. It was still the same ants.
But, okay.
Yeah,
they just said it felt like it had been 1,000 years.
But the thing is, the time difference, each area has like its own set of rules, but you pass through it. So it's like the top level where Scott was, because he never made it far down. He made it like almost like surface level, if you will. His was 1 hour is equivalent to a year, is what you said. So you go a little bit further down, where like the ants, where did the ants go? Because their time didn't pass like the other.
It's
people.
Interstellar.
So it's so goddamn, we're on the same wavelength. I was just thinking to myself, the ending of Interstellar with like the webway of like that makes more sense to me than this shit did.
100%,
because that had rules.
Christopher Nolan set rules.
Right, there was rules about how it worked.
Clear, defined rules on how it worked.
Yes. Like,
we don't have
they did time dilation really well in Interstellar, where they're like, oh, you're on the surface, you're X amount. Oh, time moves at a different pace there, and it's all relative.
The writers don't look at past projects either to see anything. Case in point, Thor's eye.
Yes.
That son of a bitch.
Yes.
That shit pisses me off to this day.
So funny.
His eye. They left the scar, but gave him a normal ass blue eye.
Or Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of fucking madness.
Yeah, I didn't watch the series. I watched like the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, it's like,
Can someone at least give you cliff notes of
Dog.
like significant plot points?
trash.
Like-
but continue. Trash. The time thing in the quantum realm.
The time
is
dilation is infuriating.
garbage.
And for the ants specifically, to jump ahead, they came in at the same exact time that everyone else did.
Mm-hmm.
How then did they get to experience thousands of years of individual development and expansion?
Yep.
Kang is a threat to everyone in the quantum verse, and the ants dusted his ass, no sweat. If the ants were there for thousands of fucking years, why did they not stop him sooner? They were certainly capable of it. Why was there not a single ant in the refugee camp?
Not a single one.
But there's millions of those motherfuckers when the Deus Ex Hank needs to show up.
Yeah, like so many questions.
Everything only happened for convenience and when it was convenient to happen.
Yes.
Nothing made sense outside of that.
And I know this is jumping around because I know you're going.
Yeah, I'm bouncing.
But I just want to say this: Bill Murray's section could have been cut out.
Yeah, 100%.
It was worthless.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, because watching the credits, because she wanted to see all the stingers, it got to Bill Murray and I was like, when the fuck was Bill Murray in this movie?
You went to the bathroom during that.
Well, I can't.
You came in when he got eaten.
Kind of at the end, but I mean, I left when they started talking to him, and then I came back.
Pointless scene.
Yeah.
It was,
and I was like,
dumb.
huh. And it was like they just did this to like showcase the fact that Janet fucked around while she was in the quantum.
He said he wanted to be in a Marvel movie, and they put him in one. So that's why it was kind of, but like that. There were some scenes where people were taking pictures of them doing reshoots. So a lot of things were reshot. And I think that Bill Murray scene was shot and then added into it. I don't think that was part of the original one because it didn't test very well. According to the media, it didn't test very well. So they reshot a lot of things to bring up the comedy and the lightheartedness.
I think
with Kang, you can't have lightheartedness.
I gotta be real. Bill Murray did a good, like, menacing, like, he
was like a Bill Murray.
Yeah, like
acting like Bill Murray. Like,
right. But
ask the people who've acted in movies with him. He's a douchebag just like that.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
And that shone through. So like that was fine, but it added nothing. And
it added absolutely nothing.
In a movie that has so much pointless filler, like you have to ask yourself, what was the point of this movie?
The only point of him being in there was to tell you that Janet had relations.
Yes.
In her 30 years, and Hank did not.
No, he did.
He said he went on a date with a woman twice, and it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
true.
Because he was like, she wasn't you.
We all knew that Janet got smashed to bits when Jonathan Majors was crawling out.
Yep.
We were like, oh, I know what happened next.
Yep.
I know what's going down. Is two people that are stuck together in a place, they smash them. That was done.
Michelle Pfeiffer got piped down.
She did.
Yeah, so real quick, what do you think the point of the movie was? Whose arc did we explore? What story did we tell?
So I think the whole thing introduced Kang again, because he was already introduced, but it introduced him again to at least the MCU people who don't watch the television series. Something that's lacking, because like for instance, when you talk about like the Smart Hulk thing with the deleted scenes, here it's kind of showing what is everybody doing after Endgame. For instance, we saw what happened in Wakanda and how they're recovering from it after Thanos has died. We now see Ant-Man post Endgame.
I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought. What happened in this movie? What crisis arose and was then dealt with that caused the characters to experience a story arc?
I mean, I think like overall, not much changed, but
nothing.
I think
nothing changed.
Well, but I think Cassie got a better respect for her father.
No,
because
she didn't.
But here's the thing. Up until this point, she's on the outside looking in and like, why can't you be a hero? Why can't you be a hero? And I think through this, she realized like, oh, it's a little harder than I thought it was.
So
I don't think she took that away at all.
So this was a Cassie movie.
Yes.
Yes.
This was to introduce her as the next one.
Yep. That's where it's going.
Scott's done. Like, he tapped out a while ago, except for like, hey, I'm going to use the suit so I can go hang out and have, you know, my girlfriend. I think they're still just dating.
No, they booed up. They booed up. Did they get
married?
That's his
main squeeze.
That's his joint.
Well, I understand that, but like, they never established like, are they dating, engaged, married, just.
Well, she's a strong, powerful woman, so she don't need no man.
Yeah, they don't,
so he's just there along for the ride.
They don't have time for
no. She's the head of everything, so yeah.
So Cassie started off as an impetuous, hot-headed, impulsive teenager. Where did she end? As an impetuous, hot-headed, impulsive teenager.
I'm pretty sure she's exactly the same.
But
what I would have liked to see at the end of it, I wanted the two of them to stay there.
Yes.
That's what I was expecting. They were going to stay trapped down there.
Stay trapped down there.
Even if they come back for them eventually, it should have not been that quick.
100,000%.
Unless we establish that time works differently again.
So when we saw it was like 6 years when the portal opened, but to us, since we're watching them in the quantum realm, it happened to be like 20 seconds.
That would have been tight.
Like, and Cassie would have been older.
Yeah.
Like, everybody would have been older.
Cassie would have been in her 20s.
Like, Hank would have been dead. You know, and shit like that. That would have been better.
That would have been more meaningful.
Yes.
Doing it where he defeats Kane, he sacrificed himself, and then literally and then Wasp comes in to come stay with him. And
they hug for 15 seconds, and then they open up the portal again.
Like, okay, let's go home.
No, we're good.
It's like, so you were expecting the portal open? Like... Is that how when she said that it sounded like she was expecting it to reopen?
Yeah.
He was expecting it to not open again.
Yep, he was.
Like, he accepted that he was going to be trapped, but it meant that his daughter was going to be safe.
Yep. 100%. And that would have been a dope way to go out as a hero. But instead, he didn't. He didn't get that opportunity. And nobody would have known about it. Yep.
Because it's not like this big world crisis. Nobody knows that this happened.
Nobody knows.
Outside of them.
And Loki, I guess.
But Loki wouldn't know that this specific arc happened.
But he would, like, he's watching the Kangs now, so he knows that
he would know the
Kang is there, so he's like, you got to keep an eye on it. So
Cassie doesn't have to learn any lessons. She starts off as a whiny teenager, resentful of her loving father, and the only thing that changes is that she respects him as a fighter, the one part of his life he did not want his daughter to get involved in. Cassie now gets to perpetuate the ideal of a white savior, preaching social justice while not having to make any actionable difference in her community or leveraging her privilege to help others. She got put into a situation where she got to save a group of people who she determined could not help themselves.
Yep.
So now she gets to perpetuate and justify her ideals without ever having to get them challenged.
Yeah.
There was never a stage in her life where they were like, we appreciate you voicing for the cause, but maybe you could do it like a little bit more responsibly and like let people in the space have a voice. Instead, it was me. I need to do it. I need to do it. I need to be the hero. I need to save. And she's never going to have to get that addressed. She never has to be critical about that. It's just, she has the power to solve all of her problems by punching people. That sucks.
It does suck. But, you know, it's how it goes now. Like, there are no lessons learned on phase 4. There was nothing. Story never progressed.
Yeah.
Like, nothing progressed in phase 4. Like, nothing. So this is honestly the first one to actually like have something happen. Like, something did happen. But may not have affected the surface level, but we did see something.
But Wanda Maximoff had to go find her children.
No, I mean,
forget Vision.
Yeah, forget Vision. Wanda had to find.
I feel content in saying nothing happened in this movie.
I feel like this wasn't supposed to be the first one.
No, I think it was supposed to be the Marvels.
Yeah, that's why they moved her ass all the way to November because they knew it was going to be shit. So they wanted to put it in a certain time frame. But I think this was supposed to be later on because you could just looking at the sequence of events, you could tell this was not supposed to be the very first movie. Because if you go from Loki to this, it's like a huge jump. Like it's jarring the jump, and people who don't watch any of the stuff won't notice.
I think if this came before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, it would have been better.
This should have, I think this should have been in Phase 4. It should have been like right after. Loki.
This feels like a Phase 4. I think Wakanda Forever should have been
in Phase 5.
Should have been the intro to Phase 5.
I'm okay with it being the end of Phase 4.
I'm not,
because it kind of closes that chapter.
But it didn't. It actually had a starting point. It had change. Characters learned. Like there was a story. Something happened, characters reacted to it, they grew, they evolved, they had to challenge themselves. There was loss, there was understanding, there was coming to terms with their circumstances. Nothing happened in Ant-Man. There was no arc. No one had to challenge their belief system. No one had to address their shortcomings or faults. No one had to own up to previous misdeeds.
Janet.
Nothing.
Fucking Janet.
Janet gets a clean slate for endangering her entire family by omitting that. Oh yeah. By the way, there's a dude that like if he escapes, he'll literally destroy like universes and timelines. But I'm not going to tell anybody. Even though the 4 motherfuckers in that house are the only people that can interact with the goddamn quantum realm. Those are the only people you have to tell, and she told none of them. Yeah. Cassie gets a clean slate for all the reasons that I mentioned. Scott got clowned on the entire time.
The whole movie.
He wrote a book, and I'm gonna say it. Yeah, the book was like masturbatory and self-indulgent, but it wasn't poorly written. Like I was like, okay, like that's a pretty banger ending to a book to be like, oh yeah, look out for the little guy. Oh yeah, haha, that's a funny callback to you being Ant-Man. Like that's not terrible. And again, I think just him being able to be a status icon of like, you can succeed despite being a ex-con and despite making mistakes early on in life. Hank doesn't change or grow at all. Hank's just there to say he's cool with his wife banging other dudes.
That's why I like that they chose Scott instead of making Hank the Ant-Man of the MCU, just because he does 100%. Have a better story arc, and you can use him. Like his first movie was a heist movie. It was a heist movie. Like that is awesome. A heist movie. It was great. And then
Ant-Man 1 was phenomenal.
Yeah, I loved
Ant-Man
it. 1.
Ant-Man 1 and Doctor Strange 1 are like in my top 6 or 7.
Yeah,
they're both really solid, high concept, engaging visual movies.
You know what the movie was missing? His friends.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Michael Pena and all them,
I will say one of the things that did annoy me very early on was when they first got to the quantum realm and he scales up in size to save Cassie and then scales back down. And I'm like, wait a minute. Every time they've shown him doing this,
he passes out.
He passes out because it increases his metabolism.
Yep.
And he did it multiple times during the film.
So
and it wasn't until Cassie said something that he's like, right? Like, it just makes you want to eat a citrus. And it's like,
there was a throwaway line given by Hank when the ants first show up. He said, you can always get a little bigger. And I took that to mean they gave a certain piece of 10,000-year-old developed ant tech to Ant-Man to let him stay big for longer. Because you notice in that final fight, he shows up big and he stays big for basically the whole damn thing. And he's still got juice in the tank later on. The part that you're talking about where they first come in, I have no explanation for. He got big to cushion her from the fall, and then he's just like, okay, well, time to go strolling through the quantum.
But I think it is the length of time.
Oh, for sure.
Because like in the second Ant-Man, it progressed. So he was there. The length of time made a big difference on whether it made him tired or break down.
And you could also argue, like, for instance, in Endgame, when he was fighting, when he was Giant Man, it's like he was fighting for an extended period of time during that battle. So it's possible that he's just getting used to it.
Yeah. Because
also, I'm sure adrenaline helps. Like, it's do or die. The fate of the universe is on the line.
Yeah, because you remember in what's that joint? Lawrence Fishburne, because he was he worked with Hank in the second, I think it was the second
because
movie.
he was Ghost.
Yeah, he was in the second movie. They had that dialogue about growing big. So he was like, yo, so how long did you do it? He was like, I did it for this. So if there is, your body gets used to it as you go along, which is fine. So he's just used to it. And that's cool. But Cassie shouldn't be used to it.
Well, she wasn't.
But
She got big briefly, and then she was like, whoa, what the fuck? And then she passed out.
She got big at the same length of time that Scott did for the first time, and he damn near died. Like, he was just like, on the ground. She was just like, oh, whew, I'm a little hungry. So,
Yeah.
Well, and it could be, again, if you're talking about the technology piece, maybe they've improved the technology on it. Now, I wish, like, they were pointing these things out, because you're looking at it and, like, I think the average viewer is not going to think too far into it.
No, they're not.
But
we're nerds, so.
But for those of us that are thinking into it, like, wait a minute, like, even if it was just something thrown in at some point to be like, oh, okay, that explains, like, why it's not such a big deal anymore.
But I don't think it's the technology that does anything, because your body is changing size. So the suit doesn't matter. She just was like, cool, I'm a little hungry. And Scott was just like, oh,
I mean, they could make the argument that it's because she's younger, but
it just hit me out. Like,
we are. It's a woman. She's better than Scott in every way.
She's the better Ant Woman.
Yeah, 100%.
Except they're going to give her wings. So she'll be the Queen Ant.
Is she actually in the comics?
Little Cassie? Yeah, she's in there.
It just hit me.
But
one of the
nobody
things
cares about it, though.
that I loathe about this movie is, and I thought this would bother you more, fake science.
Oh, yeah.
Just a lot of fake, pointless science. Things that mean nothing. So, old Trek, like Next Generation, right? They've got Geordie LaForge and Dr. Crusher, and they're throwing out these fucking crazy jargon things, and everyone's playing it straight, right? There's like, oh, the quantum fuck-ass crystals are getting broken.
Yeah.
We got to go on an expedition down to Zorbulon to go get some more. Whatever. That's sci-fi.
Yep.
In this story, they're like, we've got suits that make us real big.
So I think the problem is, I don't mess with physics. If they start talking about biological stuff,
this is biology. Metabolism is biology.
Yes.
So metabolism is what we're talking about when we're talking about the duration of time that they can be big.
But again, it goes into in the quantum realm, they haven't established rules.
Correct.
Like,
and that's why they get away with fucking murder, because they didn't say any rules. Mufasa, come here. Papa's angry.
So you're saying that if they're in the quantum realm, when they get big, it doesn't affect them like it does.
Time might be moving differently when they're
so the metabolism doesn't.
Like, did you see them eat at all during any of that?
I mean, we don't really see them eat in any movie.
They ate that cake at the end of the movie.
Yeah, but that's not like a thing that they do. Like the whole joke
warm up.
But I was about to say that's the whole joke. That Iron Man did all that, and he was just like, "Yo, you rarely see them eat or do anything."
Iron Man's probably the only one you actually see eat.
Yeah, he munches all the time. Just like you see in the Fast and Furious
with
movies.
Han.
You see Han, he eats all the time, but his is because of smoking. He needs to occupy his hands and mouth and all that shit. Yes, you don't see them really do anything. Like, I've never seen Cap eat hardly anything except.
Have you seen any of them use the bathroom?
No.
You see Cap drink?
In the first movie, and he couldn't get drunk, so that was when you realized that he couldn't get drunk. But they only do it if it's necessary to point out something. So
yeah, it's only if it's convenient.
The only time is you see Ant-Man in Civil War asking for oranges, and then you actually see him eating oranges. And
yeah, that's because he was Giant Man for forever. He was Giant Man, and then when he got down, he was hungry. And I like that they got back to that joke.
Good boy.
But it's still
it's ham-fisted.
It still just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't.
This movie was fucking hot dog water.
There's worse.
There are definitely.
I disagree. I think this was the worst. Okay, so we're gonna get back up to the top of my list. Why did MODOK not recognize Janet as his mentor's lost wife?
You mean MODOK?
MODOK.
So why did MODOK not recognize Hank Pym, his mentor for years and years? Why did he not recognize his lost wife?
Because Kang, when he made him into MODOK, he changed his brain structure to delete things of his upper past until Scott came down, because Scott was his enemy.
So he recognized Scott, Cassie, who was 4 the last time that he saw her, and Hope.
Dog, I don't know. I don't know. But wait.
He didn't recognize Hope. He assumed.
No, he recognized Hope. He called her by name.
But does he?
But also, you think it was probably also Kang probably was like, here's a hologram of this wench. When we see her, we're going to mess her up.
Okay. Then I'm going to flip this back around. Why did Janet not recognize MODOK as being the prodigy of her husband?
She would never seen him. And he's not the prodigy, he's the protege. He's not a child.
Sorry.
At least I don't think he is.
Yeah, because I was thinking that too. Like, Darren, when he was there, Janet was already in Quantum Realm.
Correct.
So he probably never interacted. He knew Hank Pym as an old, bitter piece of shit. Lost his wife type guy.
Janet knows the only people who have the technology to show up in the quantum verse are people who have Pym particles.
But for all she knows based on how everybody else is, all she knows is he's just another resident.
But fucking Kang showed up. He didn't have Pym particles.
That too.
He got exiled. That's different.
But that means there's other ways to get into the quantum realm. And how did those other people get in there? Because they're like,
well, you see,
other universe people.
A mama quantum particle loves a daddy quantum particle.
There's like a whole civilization. So how did some of them motherfuckers get down?
Do not make me turn this podcast around. So help me God.
And then they have a little baby quantum.
It's so ridiculous.
So that's the real question we
I'm
need to be
jimming
asking,
the camera right now.
because if everything is made up of atoms and these are quantum particles which make up atoms, what are they made up of?
It's a very good question. And this is the fake science bullshit that makes me enraged, because that was the point of making, that they're making technology that works at this level. What the fuck is it made out of?
Yeah.
What?
Quantum particles?
Right, but like what?
There's another layer. So that's what I was going to get into, is when they threw all the things on Kang at the end, my thought is, what if he's not actually dead? What if he's just
he's just small. He's like super small.
I feel very confident that he's not dead.
Yeah, that particular one is not dead.
Yeah, super.
I guarantee
he's gonna come back.
But the King said he's dead.
They don't know.
They don't know shit.
But if it's like Highlander and they get stronger when each one dies,
they haven't established that, and don't you dare bring Highlander into this.
They kind of
don't
did,
you dare besmirch
they were like,
my namesake.
They're gonna fight the other timeline, so then they're the only ones that are left. That's why they had the whole wars between them.
How did Cassie build a Hubble telescope for the multiverse that is also a two-way beacon? Sorry, Quantumverse. Who was bankrolling a teenager?
Hank.
Hank was gone.
It was Janet.
No, she couldn't build it while they were gone. She's like, she started like looking at his notes and stuff and started like kind of designing it. And then when they came back, she went to him and was like, I want to build this thing. And he was like, my grandchild I've never had that takes just after me.
Yes.
Here's a suit. Let's continue this.
Mm-hmm.
Where did she learn this stuff? Was she ever portrayed as a good student before?
But was she ever portrayed as a bad student?
She read.
She was just in jail.
She read his notes.
Journal. Yeah.
She read his notes.
And the thing is, I'd be willing to bet she probably had access to his lab.
It'd be cool if there was a scene that depicted any of that.
Probably in the deleted scenes.
In the past 3 movies that we've had with these characters, it would have been nice at some point. They were like, man, Cassie's like, her report card from school says that she's showing a great aptitude in science. Like, well, and then Scott has a moment where he's like, well, at least she's not going to turn out like her dad. And like that builds into the whole dichotomy between their relationship later on. Just a fucking 2 throwaway lines, and it's already better.
That part I'm not as upset with.
I'm upset about everything. If Kang escaping was so fucking dangerous that she would banish herself to the quantum realm, why did she not warn her family about him, the literal only people capable of interacting with said realm?
I would chalk it up to PTSD, but even then I think she should have told them.
She didn't want. She
didn't talk about it at all.
She was more worried about Hank finding out she was fucking around.
No, she was more worried that they would find out about her helping Kang. That was the thing
Yeah.
she was trying to keep them from finding out.
But also, she didn't want him to know that she was.
For the record,
banging dudes down
there was never a moment where anyone in the family was like, you really shouldn't have helped him. No one ever took her to task for helping him out.
Well, but she also didn't know.
Sure, then why the fuck was she so ashamed of it? Because she could literally say, I straight up didn't know until I hit the thing.
And how did magically she touch it and then now it just gives her.
She said it was connected to his mind
Yeah, but.
because it was some type of neurokinetic
So
or
other
whatever.
people can do that too? Other people can touch it?
Well, if anyone touches it, they could probably see into his mind, I guess. But
Then Scott.
Oh, you mean like Scott?
Yeah, Scott touched it.
but while he was in it,
He held the joint. Like lots of, I think they
not
hand it off?
not the orb, the actual machine, like his throne.
So
She touched that,
but wait, she was putting the power source into
and then
it,
she
Throne.
put her hand on it.
but it wasn't even all the way in.
No,
like it was
definitely.
still sticking. It was still sticking up.
No, it was that's how it's supposed to sit in there. So it sits in there because it's
You see how confidently she says that and just brushes right past it?
it's because it sits on there. It's a little piece that sticks out. She put her hand on it, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, here's all the terrible things he's done.
What fucking design document blueprint are you referencing to know that that's empirically the
But
way
also,
it's supposed to work?
but even if that's the case, anybody who touches that ship will magically get
Why-
all of his
specifically-
thoughts and his history.
specifically,
That is the poorest,
while-
shittiest design.
I don't
ever.
disagree with that.
While Kang is in it, it seems to be the deciding
Yeah.
factor. He has to be on the throne.
And it has to
while
be
the
powered
powerful-
on.
But when he just standing, because he had just stepped up.
He had just stepped
He
up.
had
to
just
sit
stepped
down.
up on it,
Yeah.
and she was like,
And-
God.
And how does he not know that that is what would happen? Why wouldn't he put that in himself and be like, hey, thank you so much. Let me go and put that in.
Well,
you
If
stand
it's
over
connected
there.
to
It
his
could be
mind,
Well,
he
and
was like, when she got all the visions, he acted like he didn't know what the fuck just happened.
No, he knew what happened because when
he
she
was
came back,
trying to play it off. For
because
sure.
when she came back, he was like, you didn't ask me for like my side of the story, basically.
Well, after she backed off and was like, yo, what the fuck? Yeah. But while she's standing there in a daze for 20, 30 seconds, he was just,
That's true. That would have been a really good opportunity to kill
Well,
her.
and
or
I
push her,
also-
like, grab her away from
Be
it.
like, hey,
But I also
we can
think
talk about this.
In his mind, she could not stand up to him whatsoever. Like once he had his powers back, she was no longer a threat.
What powers does Kang have?
He can vaporize people, except for anyone that has an Ant-Man suit.
Okay.
That also annoyed me. I was like, wait a minute.
We did talk about that one on the way home. Let's see. MODOK. MODOK makes no sense. How did Kang make him?
It showed it.
Where did that technology come from? If his body was shifting shape, then it should just be his normal-sized head with tiny limbs. If Kang can make soldiers like this, why not conscript some of the locals and gift them with this tech to be his enforcers? What on earth was so special about one broken Earth man that Kang felt compelled to uplift him? MODOK has no arc. His redemption makes no sense. Why does Cassie get to be the one that changes his course? She has not been shown to be particularly empathetic or understanding, certainly not more so than her dad.
I don't think that was empathy. And also, she was terrified of him because she's like,
No.
When she was
they did a good job characterizing her being scared of him. I thought that was cool, being like, that's the fucking Bumblebee guy. Like, that's a good callback.
Okay, so for the record, I don't understand why he's a bee when he definitely has spider limbs.
I think she was just a kid, and like that's how
But
she would
no,
remember him.
they all, because I think he's Yellow Jacket,
Yeah, he's Yellow Jacket.
but he has fucking spider legs.
Yeah, he does. He has the same ones that Spidey has in the other suit.
And he can fly, yes. And he is colored like a Yellow Jacket. But why does he have spider legs?
Because the MCU.
Because it's a combat suit.
And it's the MCU.
Yeah.
That's...
So
I mean,
someone
granted,
want to...
a spider bee would be terrifying.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
Could you
do you
imagine a
wanna-
tarantula flying?
Do you want to...
And stinging.
Do you want to step up to bat for MODOK? You want to defend MODOK in any way, shape, or form? I wouldn't either.
I'm just... So with that, it's like... I understand that when they threw the thing on him, because I remember from the first Ant-Man, when he threw the chips on him, it wasn't just one that was like, this is going to make you smaller, this one's going to make you big. He threw both of... Like, he threw a combination.
Yes.
So it made his head bigger and the rest of his body smaller, I guess. and then shrunk him down at the same time.
But his head should still be the same shape.
It just weird.
I guess it took the shape of the helmet. You know, that looks like one of the wrestling helmets, you know, you wear to protect the ears from getting cauliflower. It looks like one of those. And your head does kind of form to it.
It just look weird.
So
MODOK is dope as it, like in the comics, like he's really cool. I mean, he's ridiculous.
He's ridiculous. Yeah.
But he's cool.
It's MODOK, bitches. I fucking love MODOK.
But they just made him like
they made him just comic relief.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. He's also not dead.
Oh no.
He's not dead. He's not dead.
They're like, fans love MODOK.
I don't know. That MODOK, when I saw him and he had the mask, I was like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. Then he took it off and I was like, oh god, it's annoying orange. It's annoying orange. It looks just like annoying orange. It looks just like it.
I would believe, I would be fine with his head kind of like molded to the shape of the suit. You know what doesn't change shape if your skull changes shape? Your eyes.
Yeah, well, yeah, they don't
get bigger, they don't stretch. Your eyes are always the same shape. Always.
No.
Yeah.
Your eyes are squishy because they have fluid in them.
Yep. No, totally get that. Can they turn 3 times bigger and still allow you to see?
Maybe one of them hit him in the eye.
I'm gonna fucking fight you.
Yeah, MODOK
sucked.
Yeah, MODOK sucked. I did like the guns and stuff that he had.
Yeah, like his design, like for like his capabilities was cool. I would love to see it doesn't even need to be a serious MODOK, but not like a pathetic MODOK.
Yeah, well, you gotta watch the animated one on I think it's Amazon. He has a MODOK animated series. One of them.
Does he do the MODOK voice? Does he have like?
He kind of has a. Kind of a
I'm thinking like the Monarch from Venture Brothers. That's what I imagine.
Not quite.
It's MODOK, bitches.
It's not quite, but I mean, I don't know. MODOK. There's some things that just don't translate well into live action, and he was definitely one of them.
If they had just kept his fucking mask on, would have been.
Yeah, he would have been fine, or just not have him in there at all.
Also, brief aside. I want to give Tori credit for this one. She made a lot of parallels to Star Wars Episode 9, Return of the Jedi. MODOK is Darth Vader in Episode 9.
Error. Recalculating.
Darth Vader. Darth Vader's not even in Episode 9. I mean,
Sorry, Episode 6.
I was making parallels.
You were talking about Rise of Skywalker. I was thinking this was basically a Return of the Jedi clone. They spend a lot of fucking time.
Who wrote it?
Just making battle plans. They
one of the dudes from Rick and Morty.
Was it the one that
was this movie?
Which the sex offender?
No, I don't think it was. That was
the creator.
You know, they would have.
No, they wouldn't.
They would have shit all over this movie. You know that Twitter. I
mean, Twitter would have.
Twitter would have. We would have known if he did.
So
that's why the scene was the bunch of Scots, like, because it felt like a Rick and Morty thing. Like
it was basically the Mr. Meeseeks fucking
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you.
I was actually trying to figure out what bothered me about it so much, and that kind of brings it all home. So sorry. I misread what Tori was talking about. She was making parallels to Rise of Skywalker. I was thinking this was a parallel to
How
Return of the Jedi.
He's also responsible for the next Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm. He sure is. He's writing it.
Rough.
Yep, it's gonna be terrible.
So
right off the bat,
you talk about why it reminded you of Episode 9.
Well, so specifically the scene was when she frees the one warrior chick who I don't know if she ever actually had a name.
I had no idea if she had a name. She had a cool weapon. I thought her weapon was cool.
She was swole too.
Yeah, she was. She was jacked as fuck.
Yeah,
but they free her and they're like, hey,
but she was a brown native that the white woman got to free. So she got to maintain her saber complex.
But they're like, we got to get a message out and call on people to come and, fight for us. And I was like, oh, this is exactly like Episode 9 when they, put out that thing. And they were like, who knows if they'll show up? And then all of a sudden they show up. Now I will say I think Ant-Man did it better. It was definitely still the exact same call for everybody, and everybody shows up because it's like, you know, you gotta take the last stand, because if we don't do it now, then, you know, he's just gonna have his way, and y'all never gonna.
And of course, you know, she gets to make that speech.
Well,
to
she didn't want to.
Oh,
to her credit, she didn't want to.
She didn't want to. But when a microphone gets in front of me, I get to be the white savior and tell everyone they can be the heroes.
She wanted the other person to do it.
Right, but she was too busy fighting because she's actually competent.
And she has fighting skills.
Yes. And they were like, let the SJW Twitter user get in front of the microphone and make the Insta Live call to action. That's exactly what it was. I don't like the Cassie character.
I don't like how they de-aged Cassie, but that's me.
Yeah. So I think that Quantumania is trying really hard to be Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
There's a lot of the movie happening where the teams are split up and nothing is fucking happening. And then one group befriends the locals, engages in a ritual with them to gain a better understanding. They then enlist the help of said locals to fight against the overwhelming Empire, who is a bunch of faceless goons.
Yep. As usual.
With one emperor at the top, and the emperor has a right-hand man, MODOK, or Darth Vader, a masked person who has a horribly disfigured face underneath the mask, who, at a last-minute moment of redemption, throws themselves and sacrifices their life to stop the emperor from going through with their evil plan. It's beat for beat, it plays out the exact same way. It's insulting, because I love Return of the Jedi. I fucking love that movie. Quantumania tried to do that and tried to get like some sort of emotional payoff with MODOK's redemption.
Yeah, and it
landed very flat.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
Let's talk about the weird goo guy. Let's talk about him.
With the holes?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, my holes.
Okay.
You have 7 holes. Ah.
I have no problem with there being a weird goo guy. I have no problem with him being an ingestible goo that teaches you all languages. That's kind of cool.
That would be the part I would have a problem with.
Nope. I'm moving right past that. Okay. No issues there. What I have a problem
I might
with,
need some of that goo.
I would suck that man off in a heartbeat. Easy. Okay. The part I have a problem with is he's part of a refugee camp of survivors that have been driven out of all of their homes by the Empire.
Yep.
He single-handedly runs out in front of a platoon of soldiers, gets shot, is found to be invincible to their attack, and then Kirby's them.
Yes.
Okay?
He's goo.
And nobody knew he could do that, though.
Oh,
he's fucking good.
That's what I have a fucking problem with. What caused him to be driven from his home that didn't involve getting shot at?
Probably running away.
And was he not angry enough to do anything about it?
He didn't have any holes.
So once they gave him holes, it hyped him up.
No.
So having holes gives you...
having holes allowed him to suck things in.
I hate you, and I hate this. I hate it. I hate it because you can say it with a straight face, and I know in your heart of hearts you know that's bullshit. And it makes me so fucking mad. God damn. Yeah, so I liked his guy. I liked there being a goofy little goo guy. I liked that. I hated
he was probably supposed to be what's his name from Thor?
Korg.
All I could think of was Rock.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson. My gay husband.
Dwayne. Okay.
So, so what's his name? Jeremy? I feel like his name was Jeremy, but
the little goo guy.
Yeah,
they had names.
I feel like he had. I feel like his name was Jeremy, but I could be wrong. I know the robot had a name. Did not pay attention to it. Did not care. Cockney robot who only cares about torture and has a cool like solar beam. I liked his character design, but he was like, "Let's torture him," and that was like the only lines that he had. It was just about torturing people, and I was like, "Cool, another comic relief sociopath."
The supporting cast in that, like all the extra people, I didn't really care for.
The female leader of the rebellion,
she was cool.
She was cool. She given the material.
Again, what are these people made of? How do they get down there? How is the air breathable?
Why are they just normal people?
Like, how is the air breathable?
Does she have genitals? Can I see them? Simple questions.
But like the air, like because they took their mask off like all the time.
What molecule are they respirating in order to keep their bodily functions going?
And that's another thing that bothers me too. Web.
Was his name Web? Why do I think his name was Jeremy?
Oh, so here's the fun fact, I guess. He's played by Dave Dasmalkian.
Who is...
Kurt, one of his two friends.
I feel like I'm having a stroke. What did you just say? Oh! Dasmalkian.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, Polka Dot Man. Okay, I was like...
Baba Yaga?
Dude, Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I felt like I was having a stroke because she just said like these words like I don't even know what they mean. I'm just like,
The one Amazon chick, her name is Jintora.
It's a cool name.
They might have said.
And then there was Quaz. That name I remember them saying.
Was that the robot?
That was the guy with the I could read thoughts.
Yeah.
With the glowing.
Oh, the guy from the Bad Place.
Mm-hmm.
He's great. Okay. I love him. He was great. I keep forgetting about him because he was so good that like I only remember the negative things. Yeah. I liked him. He was great.
Yeah, I mean, because there are quite a few negative things about it. The thing that got me was that it was a CG. Like your mind looking at it, there's certain parts where I'm just like, it's a set, and it bothers me just so much.
So the best comparison I can make to this, I'm just gonna read my little thing. This movie looks like buttered turd. It looks like what Guardians 2 looked like if you squinted super hard and maybe had a concussion. A movie 6 years ago had better visuals and psychedelic environments. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, most of the story takes place on Ego's planet, and it's a really wild scape. Floating flowers and Technicolor shit going on everywhere, and like weird rock formations and like weird little critters. The whole thing is bizarre, but it all made sense. Like everything kind of felt cohesive in a world, even though it was a disjointed imaginary dreamscape. What went so wrong with Quantumania? Like it just looked like a set. It looked like a set. It looked like an AI generated background for the majority of it.
It looked like a set.
And really flat areas too. Like you could tell that they're just like on like just a flat sound stage for a lot of it. There's no like just variance in the terrain.
Just like Love and Thunder. That
just like
looked like sets. It looked like that is one thing that'll take me out of a movie quickly is if it looks like a set.
Could it also be, I know part of it is just they like filming on their green screens because it gives them control and they don't have to worry about people on the street being like, oh look, it's
it's not the green screens, it's the it's that weird panel technology that they patented.
Oh, because I'm still
like the Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, I'm still used to when they had the giant sound stage that was really just all green screen.
They're not
use that for Endgame.
They don't do that anymore though because it's so expensive.
They develop their own tech.
Yeah.
Because what I was gonna say, I wonder how much of this is still recovering from COVID and having to deal with those restrictions and how many people they could have on set depending on where they were filming. I don't necessarily think it's going to change in the long run, but I wonder how much of that does play a factor into how they're shooting some of these films, like Black Widow.
I would point to Black Panther Wakanda Forever as an example of I refuse to accept that answer.
But that also got shot more recently. I don't know where, like, in comparison, when did Ant-Man get shot versus when Black Panther? Because Black Panther got delayed and delayed and delayed.
I'm referring to specifically the CG aspects of the staging. The things like during the funeral scene where you have the like multiple tier houses where people are performing different types of ceremonies and things. That type of visual engagement where you have a multi-level sequence going on, there was nothing comparable to that in Quantumania. They never made use of the fact that it's this abstract dimension. Everything always took place on like a flat plane. Yeah. And there might have been like some weird shit in the background, but it never was interactive. There was nothing engaging about that. What takes me out of a movie super fast is shitty fight CG. And specifically, the obnoxious fight CG reminded me of that fight in Blade 2 in front of the floodlights. You know the one. There was absolutely nothing distinctive about people from the quantum realm. There was no unifying motif that could easily allow an observer to determine they weren't just humans in costumes. What makes a person from the quantum realm? How do you identify someone as being from the quantum realm?
Yeah, because I mean, those people look like they could be in the next Guardians movie. They look like Guardians reject, like, you know, they're like.
I mean, maybe that's all the quantum realm is. Maybe, space? Yeah, or like how, for instance, in Thor, when they're talking about the 9 realms, maybe it's just one of the 9 realms.
It's not,
and Thor can get there no problem.
No. Name 3 of the 9 realms.
Midgard.
It's the only other one you know. You got it. You're so close.
Valhalla.
No.
That's not a realm?
No.
Jane runs that one. Jane runs Valhalla. Jane is.
I know that's the afterlife.
Yes.
It's the Yggdrasil's the tree.
Uh-huh.
They live in.
I'll give you a hint. It ends in guard.
Oh, I do know the frost giants live in something guard.
No. They're one of the few ones that don't. Asgard.
That.
Niflheim is where the Jotuns... Actually, Jotunheim is where they come from.
Yeah.
Niflheim is like the underworld. That's Helheim. Niflheim is where the weird mist was.
The weird mist.
Yeah.
I hate that.
That's like the dwarven workshops.
So, if Helheim can be hell, why is Valhalla, which is like their...
It's not its own realm. It's outside of the realms.
Mm-hmm.
Hell is a place you can go to. Heaven is a state of mind.
Is that where Surtur lives?
No, Surtur lives in Muspelheim.
You're just making up words now.
I'm straight up not, and he can back me up on this.
100% not making up words.
Muspelheim is the realm of fire. So that's where Thor was at the beginning of Ragnarok, and then Surtur, his head animates in Asgard, and he destroys it as is prophesized.
He didn't destroy Asgard because Asgard is its people, not its place.
It's a fucking place.
It's a place.
It's a goddamn place.
Sorry,
right?
let me rephrase that. It was a place.
It's a place. It is a
Because,
place.
you know, that's a... Well, actually, it wasn't admissible in court, but...
I will leave my own podcast. I will walk out.
See, you don't understand that reference.
No, I do.
You didn't watch She-Hulk.
You referenced court, and I knew it was a She-Hulk reference. Yeah, so like the fight CG. I've been on a kick of like watching old movies. Not
Godzilla.
like old movies. I mean, that is an old movie, but I'm talking about like just movies that I hadn't seen before. And part of that was me rewatching scenes from movies that I found myself enjoying as a kid and seeing if they held up. I watched a scene from Matrix Reloaded before going to see Ant-Man. And it's the scene where the two albino twins confront Trinity and Morpheus in the parking garage.
Yep.
And then Morpheus moves in and keeps them distracted while they get away.
Yep.
And I forgot that that's all just one scene. There's no cuts. It's just Lawrence Fishburne knowing his choreography, the twins knowing their choreography, and he moves up and he does these cool ass moves.
We have lost that in cinema.
Yeah. And then watching Ant-Man, everything's a quick cut and everything's CG. And like...
We can't all be Ip Man.
Well, that's the thing, is you like watching the Corridor Crew stuff with me, like the stuntmen react and everything. Mm-hmm. What's the most recent Marvel movie you've seen them do a stuntman react to?
Well, I haven't watched any of the recent ones.
Within the last 2 years.
I know that they looked at Shang-Chi a few different times.
That's the most recent one.
Yep.
They also looked at Black Panther, which is obviously an older one. And then
there's been
Civil War they looked at.
There's been nothing since Shang-Chi that there's been choreography.
But
to
I
break
also
down
wonder
for.
what part of getting a copyright strike plays into that too.
None. They do shit like within the week it releases sometimes, depending on what it is. I think it has to do with the fact that we're not seeing high performance stunt work
We're not.
in
They do
Marvel features.
Well, I was gonna say they do like the Mandalorian and stuff, but also, like I said, I haven't seen any of the recent stuff.
The Mandalorian isn't very stunt heavy.
No.
It's pretty by the books.
Mm-hmm.
But they have looked at it.
But there are no grandiose stunt heavy scenes. That's why I miss the Russo brothers being part of the MCU. The Russo brothers know how to do action sequences. They took Civil War, which Will does not like just because Civil War was such a big part of the comics. But I understand that. But they took the action scene with every single hero that we've seen up to that fucking point, and they've made them fight like action figures, and it was so good.
Beautifully.
It was so good.
Well,
the action had a solid through line. You could easily tell
And it
characters
wasn't all
in the mix.
CG.
Yep. It was a mix of CG.
Spider-Man was fighting Cap. It was a dude in a suit fighting Cap. Like when they did it, they had dudes on the wires jumping and flipping.
Had Yee in the Black Panther suit facing off against Captain America's stuntman. Like
it was
Bucky stuntman.
Yeah,
and we lost.
Black Widow, I think, was the last one they did.
For stunts, I know they did a CGI breakdown.
They did a CGI breakdown, but I think they did do a stunt breakdown as well.
You know what? I think they did. I think you're right. Because there were a couple of like person-to-person stunts there, but not.
Because they were talking about like when it was like one of the scenes towards the end when they were like on the scaffolding and jumping place to place.
I haven't seen Black Widow and I'm never gonna fucking see it.
That one fire scene was still like the worst CG I've ever seen out of any of the Marvel properties.
It's gotten memed to fucking death, but it deserves to be. It was rough.
And the thing is with it being available on streaming services primarily, they could fix that. They could fix that at any time and push out a new copy. Just like they fixed Titanic.
They did Cats. They did it while it was in the goddamn theater. People had to download new files for Cats to put buttholes. They had to add the buttholes in it. You gotta put the butthole in there. You can't have it.
So there was the whole movie, the whole of Ant-Man and Quantum of Solace made me very mad. But there was one scene that stuck out to me as being the most shitty. And that is the possibility storm.
Was it possibility or probability? No, possibility.
I believe it's possibility because my initial reaction was probability. And then I went back and I was like, well, I think it was possibility. Pretty sure it's possibility.
No, I'm pretty sure it's possibility because probability wouldn't make sense.
So, Possibility Storm, one of my favorite Magic the Gathering cards, one of the worst sequences in a Marvel movie. Literally no explanation on how it actually works and why it was suddenly corrected when Wasp showed up. Another huge waste of CG budget for zero payoff.
So the idea of the Possibility Storm, because they do explain
they've
that.
Talked about it in Loki.
Well, no, they do talk about it. They talked about it in the movie because Hank, when she was flying down, Janet. It was either Hank or Janet, but one of them was like, don't look at them because it is a copy of every possible decision that you could have made at once, and it will make you go crazy if you look at it. And so to me, especially when Scott was down there originally, like when he started splitting, it was when he was like, for instance, when he turned. So if you turn right, you could have turned left. So that splits you. So it was a culmination of all of that.
If that's how it works, then there should have been a version of Hope that stops suddenly every 2 seconds behind her, because there's a possibility she could just stop flying at wherever she is in her flight. Something to illustrate that it's not just Scott being crazy, because Wasp's clones didn't really interfere with her at all the way that Scott's did.
Well, but she was also advised not to look at him. Scott was looking and talking to them and everything. She didn't look at them. She didn't talk to them.
But is it just looking at them that causes it?
Because I think it's because she was ignoring it. Because the more that you look at something, so like choosing to look at something, that creates a possibility.
So I'm going to approach this from the 12th grade English teacher point of view. What do you think the author was trying to say by telling you that ignoring every other possibility in your life is the only path towards success?
Because you can't live with regret. So like when he finally focused on, like she's focused on getting to Scott. When he focused on getting to Cassie, all of a sudden they started working together because they had one goal in mind and they're all focused on one end.
But there should have been possibilities where none of them gave a shit about Cassie.
I don't think that would be possible. Because like even when he was like in jail or when he got out of jail or when like everything he does is centered around his daughter and being a good father to her. Even when his entire life is getting ruined, he's still like, I want her to see me as someone that is meaningful to her and as someone that is there for her.
Mr. Meeseeks.
Mr. Meeseeks. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me. I want to die.
Yeah, it's Mr. Meeseeks.
It's Rick and Morty humor, which is to say, not humor at all.
I've seen one episode of that.
I think I saw that same episode.
I've seen a bunch of Rick and Morty. Some of it. Pickle Rick is.
Is it because
Pickle Rick is?
Is it because
he turned himself into a pickle? Funniest shit I have ever seen.
Rick and Morty is entertaining. You just have to it's a specific type of humor.
I cannot stand Justin Roiland's voice, and I'm very glad that he is no longer going to be making new content.
Rick and Morty's dead. Like that, they may as well just cut.
No, they said they were moving forward.
It just don't feel it's going to be the same. Usually, when you lose something like that, it's usually never the same. So it's probably going. They should just end it and make a new series that doesn't, make a new show that doesn't. But we're not talking about Rick and Morty right now.
I will go back to the Possibility Storm briefly. I will cede that point. I've been very critical of this movie so far. Your explanation of it, much the same way that you explained Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, has shifted my perspective on the Possibility Storm.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 is underrated, and I will die on that hill. People only started liking Amazing Spider-Man after he showed up in
No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Yeah, I still don't like Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I don't think he's a good Peter Parker.
No.
He's a great Spider-Man. Okay, not great. He's a good Spider-Man, but he's not a good Peter Parker.
No, it's not a good Peter Parker.
You know who is a good Peter Parker?
Tom Holland.
Miles Morales.
I remember when Amazing Spider-Man came out, and then there was the whispers that they were going to have a new Spider-Man coming, and I was like, man, I'd love for Miles Morales to show up in the MCU. Do something different.
Do those thoughts fill you with shame now?
Only because I feel like he would be kind of shoehorned in like this new generation is currently.
Yeah.
He would be in there just to get views, basically.
I think we talked about this before. It might have been last podcast, but I was like, the way they're going to introduce Miles Morales is Tom Holland's going to show up and be like, hey guys, it's time to stop being Spider-Man. I'm just going to go to MIT full time. Anyways,
Nobody knows who the fuck he is, though.
Right, but that's the whole thing, is they would just have like a throwaway line where he like goes up to Zendaya at the fucking coffee shop. He's like, there's a new friendly black Spider-Man in town. Check this guy out. Anyways, bang my girlfriend. Bye. and then Tom Holland exits stage left so he can do Uncharted 2.
So
I fell asleep during Uncharted.
I have a lot of thoughts about Uncharted. We don't need to talk about it because Uncharted is one of my personal favorite video games of all time. Like that series, I love it. I've played it dozens of times, all of them, and the little spin-off that they have. I love it. And that movie,
So
It was forgettable.
I share in your joy for Uncharted from the perspective of I've never touched the games, but I respect your opinion, and I love hearing you be passionate about stuff.
I love those games.
Tori played all the Uncharted games,
I
and I
played the
watched
first
her.
3.
She played all the Uncharted games.
There's 4
I
in
know.
the
It's 4,
spin-offs.
and then the one spin-off.
But I saw her play those 3, and she was just like, she didn't seem to be into it like at all, but she still played all. I was like,
They were easy to play.
man,
That, and also
because they're cinematic games.
Yeah, the cinematic games. There are tough moments, and the bosses suck. They don't know how to end those games. Like the bosses are always shitty, but everything leading up to it is good. And I like Nathan Drake and the cast of characters that he
That's
has.
actually just like Kang in Ant-Man: Quantum of Solace.
what?
Yeah, because the villain, the end. Oh, speaking of Kang,
Yeah, let's talk about Kang.
okay, so the media has been blowing up about Jonathan Majors as Kang, and they're like, that's the only reason you should go see this movie. Blah blah blah.
Not to interrupt your train of thought, has he been in anything else that I would know?
He's in Creed 3. That comes out this week.
He fights Killmonger.
Yeah, he's
Okay, so he's the guy from that.
yeah, he's in Creed 3.
Gotcha. I saw the trailer for that.
He also did Devotion, which was a
Is that Tyler Perry?
no.
That sounds like a Tyler Perry.
This is almost like a Tuskegee Airmen movie, but the pilots.
Okay.
He did that. It was one other thing that he was in. He's a up and coming new hot actor. So what they do is they find something. They usually, the media will find a person and they're like, oh, I like his look. I like this and that. And then
We're just gonna blast him.
put him everywhere.
We are going to forcibly insert him in your throat.
Yes. And so which is fine. It shit happens, whatever.
He didn't seem like a great actor for Kang.
I didn't think that he I'm thinking back to Kang when I read the comics that Kang was in. And he was in I read a lot of Guardians that had Kang show up here and there.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange had Kang show up here and there. Looking at him and then looking at Jonathan Majors, he isn't like, I know they're different. The MCU has made different variants. They have shit tons of different Kangs all over the place. So it's hard to pin down which one they're trying to, like, which one is the Kang that is in the comics.
Right.
Like, I have no fucking clue which one is the one that I've read about in the comics.
Okay.
So he just seemed like a slightly menacing black dude with massive lips. Like,
reminds
when
me
he turns to the
side,
side, like, them shits
he's got a healthy profile.
He does.
Reminds me of the Dave Chappelle on SNL talking about Pete Davidson. America, look at his big old lips. you have to say, I might insert that.
I don't understand.
It's very funny.
I wasn't intimidated. Like, when he showed up on the scene, he
was not
me.
imposing. And the thing that threw me off the most about him is it felt like he couldn't decide what accent he wanted to give Kang. Because sometimes he was speaking like a poised, like a ruler.
Yeah.
And sometimes he's speaking. Yeah, it was like he was trying to put like a British inflection on things, and then sometimes he just sounded like a dude talking.
Yeah.
And that always pulls me out, like when some's not consistent with what they choose.
And also the cadence.
Yeah.
Ah, you didn't know I knew that word.
Yeah, I did.
His cadence was weird.
Yeah.
It was
off-putting.
Because sometimes there was these pauses, and then sometimes it was just talking for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
And it's like
Brief aside, Michelle Pfeiffer could still get it. Moving back to Kang. What is going on with Kang's outfit? Is that what he looks like in the comics?
Very close.
Because Tori and I were talking about
green and purple.
In some shots, he looks like Dr. Destruct or Dr. Doom.
You said he looked like Dr. Doom. I say he looked like
because it looked like in some angles he had like silvery like arms and leg plates, and then his like tunic was greenish.
Yes, green and purple is what he is in the.
And then in some of them, I thought he looked like Sentinel, like the robot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got really confused because I didn't realize I didn't watch Loki. So when he was talking about there's a lot more of me coming,
yeah,
I thought they were gonna be like, oh, this is the guy that like builds Sentinels and he's gonna like kill people.
No,
because then they were like, oh, he built MODOK. I was like, oh shit, like he's going to build a bunch of robots to murder all of the other people because that's what he does. But I was very off base with that. But I'd like to throw in my hot ticket 1 in a million. What if they do decide to just throw those two concepts together in the MCU because fuck the rules and I look like I'm a genius?
Yes, you would look like you were a genius, and this is gonna be.
This is it. This is my legacy.
I didn't feel intimidated by Kang whatsoever. Even the alternate versions of Kang. Now I remember the first time that we got to see Thanos.
Yes.
Like not the cut scene at the cut scene at the end of a movie Thanos, but like when we see Thanos in Infinity War and he fucks up everybody, I was like, horrifying. This dude is amazing.
He didn't even really do that much that we saw in the scene. He wasn't like, oh, here's my awesome power. Nope. It was just the way that he moved, the way that he talked.
Even Ultron.
Yes,
people shit on Ultron.
That's one of my favorite Marvel movies. That Avengers Age of Ultron. I love that shit.
I'll just say,
people hate that movie.
I like Age of Ultron more than the original Avengers.
People hate that movie. I love that shit.
Yeah, that movie was good.
That shit was.
There was a lot of
great
growth.
Yes, there was a story being told. There was an arc. Things happened. Characters evolved. Characters died.
Even little throwaway things like the hammer when he just laid on the table.
It's a great foreshadow.
Yes.
Or when Pietro tried to grab it.
Yeah. And see, just things. They just made sense then.
They did.
Now they don't. Like, what is Kang gonna do? So we're gonna have. It looks like every movie may have a variant of Kang that the hero has to fight.
That's so boring.
Hella boring.
But
boring.
They have different themes to them.
I would like to talk about that. Is one of the Kangs like a racist depiction of a Chinese consular?
Yes.
Because that's 100% what I was getting from that. He's got the Fu Manchu and the hat, and I was like,
that's the Mandarin.
Yeah.
Look like the goddamn Mandarin, the original Mandarin.
And the original Mandarin was a very racist depiction of a Chinese person.
And so bad they changed him in the MCU and made him a white actor. That's not even real.
Yeah, I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, that's a bold choice.
Well, but now the Mandarin is Shang-Chi's father.
Yes, which made sense.
They revealed later on, but
which made sense. But yeah, that's phase 4. So that's the saga is over. Like those movies don't even really matter to this phase, and they threw it in there, I guess, for fans, maybe.
I mean, it at the end of that, it was his sister took over the 10 rings.
Yeah, I mean,
so she has the 10 rings in name, but he actually has the 10 rings. So
I have issues with that too. But could you imagine, since they made Shang-Chi's father the Mandarin, could you imagine him with the rings fighting actual Iron Man, like the Tony Stark that
he would have blown him away?
But I mean, it could have been an awesome movie.
But it would have made for a good fight.
It would have made for a fucking amazing fight.
Because that's how that's supposed to go down.
Yes.
But then, we wouldn't be able to focus on how much you love Pepper Potts.
If Iron Man 3 was a showdown between the Mandarin and his organization, instead of weird, honestly very horrifying, exploding disabled war veterans, and
which that is a Tony Stark storyline. Like it is actually one. But the way they did it wasn't.
I was gonna say the way that it was done was not
wasn't
great. And what the hell was that guy's name?
Killian.
Yeah. I love that actor. Refresh me.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce. Love Guy Pearce. Incredibly attractive man. One of Australia's finest treasures. You know him. You love him. The Time Machine.
Do you know how old that movie is?
But you fucking know the reference, right?
Is he the main character?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Memento.
Oh my God.
I know you haven't seen Memento.
Oh, Memento.
So,
another Christopher Nolan classic.
Banger.
God damn, that's a good movie.
Guy Pearce. What the hell is her name?
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Carrie-Anne Moss. I want to say Kate Moss for some reason. Carrie-Anne Moss and Joey Pants.
Man, I mean, he had the goddamn.
Yes.
Oh, mind blowing.
Movie fucking rocks.
That movie is good.
We're briefly going to talk about Memento. The concept of Memento is that it follows a man with short-term amnesia. He cannot remember shit at all. He had like some sort of traumatic accident. He can't remember anything. So what he does is he tattoos messages on himself so that whenever his memory resets, he can see what he's supposed to know.
I feel like there are more efficient ways to do that.
I think they might have shown that he tried. He tried less permanent methods and they were interfered with, because the whole point is that the people around him know that this is going on and they're taking advantage of it. Yeah. So
he tries different ways.
It's very cool.
It's good. It's a Christopher Nolan movie.
It's a really good Christopher Nolan movie.
It makes sense, but it leaves room for you to like interpret your own thoughts and like, oh, well, maybe if he did this, or it's fucking amazing. Love it.
It might be a fun one to watch.
Christopher Nolan and he does practical shit.
Very practical.
He probably had Guy Pearce really tattooed shit on him. That's how Christopher Nolan rolls. He will flip over a truck. He will blow up a boat with people on it.
He will buy a 747 instead of doing the CG for it.
He doesn't care.
He bought a whole decommissioned 747 and blew it the fuck up. He's like, it's cheaper than doing it in CGI.
And he flipped the truck in the Dark Knight. Flipped an actual like semi. Like,
that scene where he requires the 18-wheeler goes whoop, that's the whole thing's practical.
Dunkirk, like all that shit was done practically.
Dunkirk should have had CGI. I want to be really clear about that. Dunkirk needed CGI.
No, I mean,
there were not enough dudes on the beach to really portray what that was like. It was shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, it was. But all the shit was practical though. No, like very little.
Still haven't seen Tenet. I hear mixed reviews on that. I think it's my kind of movie.
So what are you saying, that Christopher Nolan needs to make a Marvel movie?
They wouldn't let him. They wouldn't let him. And he would quit because they would say, well, why don't you
CGI this?
Yeah, he would not want to do that shit.
A Christopher Nolan Doctor Strange movie
would be amazing.
Would be unfucking real.
I didn't even think about
that. He would be the perfect dude for that.
He would. You know what? Sam Raimi was the perfect person for a Doctor Strange movie, but he had Marvel interference, man.
So, hear me out. Christopher Nolan directs, Sam Raimi writes. He's gonna pass out because all the blood immediately rushed to his penis.
Just the thought of all the shit that I've read of Doctor Strange doing weird ass time bending fighting demons.
Doctor Strange is a goofy, like
Perfect.
beyond the line character.
Yes.
I love
Perfect. Those two together would be perfect for Doctor Strange. I thought Multiverse of Madness was going to be it because Sam Raimi was there. But then when I saw that it was just a Wanda show, I was like, oh,
and again,
God.
The very Sam Raimi specific touches were great.
They were great.
They were great. They were great.
Every little sprinkle. Of, yep. He had his car in it. And
but
everything.
we're not talking about Doctor Strange, the Multiverse.
Well, we
of
had
Madness.
to because we do it every
That's
episode.
true. We had to bring up.
We
Doctor
had to
Strange,
bring it up.
Multiverse of Madness. But my last point that I'd like to make is this movie fucking sucked. Phase 5, more like I want to fucking die.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the stingers?
Yeah.
I didn't put it into writing.
We don't need to. We don't need to.
Both of the stingers were about the same hot dog water character that has not established an identity for himself.
Yep.
Has not made himself menacing enough. Because again, going back briefly to his powers, he's only ever as powerful as he needs to be to War of the Worlds disintegrate people or gently push them back.
Yep.
Those are the two settings he has. And he can't kill anyone that's actually
War
a
of the
problem for him.
Worlds too. Thank you, Connor.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly
That's exactly what it was.
When you hear the horn, and it just
it's-
vaporizes people and they just
it's
turn into cloaks.
great
Like
War
they
of the
just
Worlds.
turn
I'm
into
still trying to
cloaks.
figure out why it wasn't effective on Ant-Man or any of them.
Because it wasn't convenient for it to be.
Yeah.
That's it. There.
Because of the pin particles.
Same reason Tom Cruise avoided getting zapped. Everybody, like, he's
Everyone on
running
the
down the street. It is sweeping across the road, vaporizing everybody.
And he's untouched.
And the plane crashed. I love that movie, but the plane crashed. When the plane crashed and they were in the basement, nothing happened to their house, but the houses around
We're
it
fucking
were
demolished.
all destroyed.
Yeah.
Because they walked cleanly out of there, had a nice little path to a vehicle that was just conveniently there. So,
Untouched.
yeah. So, I mean, it's that type of thing.
Both stingers dealt with Kang.
Yep.
And trying to set him up to be this monumental, earth-shaking villain.
Because he's going to be the next for the next Avengers.
Does anyone remember the Thanos stingers?
Mm-hmm.
They showed a goofy-looking purple guy in a throne, and people were like, right?
Right there in the theater, baby.
Yeah.
Right there. Pee Wee Herman in it right there.
Pee Wee Herman,
God,
100%.
sign me up.
Right? That shit ruled.
Oh my God. You see Kane, it's like, oh, cool.
Right? But not just showing Kang twice. I can't think of a single time that they have done two stingers for the same dog shit character.
Well, technically they were different characters.
You'll die tonight here on camera. Yeah, I get it. One of them was a racist depiction of a Chinese man, and one of them was not really a racist depiction, but just a depiction of a guy in like the 1890s.
He was Tesla.
What?
I said he was Tesla.
One more time?
I said what I said.
What?
Because he was talking about something revolutionary and everybody was like, oh.
I mean, you could say that about like toilet paper in 1890 and people would react that way.
That one, I don't know when it was set.
It was definitely like pre-1900s. At least it felt like it.
Besides, they had to get, Tom Hiddleston in there.
Yeah, they had to get Loki season 2 in there.
But who cares? Who
Who
is that designed for?
Marvel.
I'm going to be real with you. The Loki that's in the Loki show is not the Tom Hiddleston that women want to be fucked by.
No, that is 100% true.
He's just not.
Connor, thank you. That is exactly
right.
I haven't said it in those words, but I have said something similar about the Loki that we get in the show is not the one everyone loves. Not the one that everybody loves.
Women want to get piped by Thor 1, 2, 3 Loki.
Yeah.
They want to get piped by Avengers 1 Loki.
Yeah.
Even though he gets clowned by the Hulk, they still want.
It don't matter. They would still take the fight.
I don't get why they're still trying to make Loki a thing when they have made his character fall so far from where people enjoyed him.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get like what market they're trying to appeal to, because the then 20s and 30s, now 40s and 50s women that were lusting over Tom Hiddleston are like, this guy is he has a sideshow joke.
He was more badass in Kong Skull Island,
Yes,
than he is in the TV show.
Fully,
like he was a man's man then. Like,
and I like Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah,
I think he's a great actor. I just think that the lure of Disney money is too strong.
It is.
Honestly, do you want to know the one actor in all of like Disney's productions that I respect the most? John fucking Boyega, who straight up said, "You're not going to Disney Plus me, motherfuckers."
Yep.
Fully, like, I think in an interview was like, "I'm not getting Disney Plus. I'm out."
Yep. They shrunk his shit down for China, bro. They like damn near took him off.
They shrunk his shit down, and they reduced his role because he wasn't stepping in line.
Yeah.
Like he just wasn't. He was like, no, like I love Star Wars. Like I love this. I don't love.
They straight messed his character up, but man,
John Boyega fucking rules.
I mean, he was in Pacific Rim, bro. Like once you hit Pacific Rim, he's in the second one.
Okay, I was like, I do not remember him.
Yeah, he's the main character in the second one.
Really?
He's old boy's daddy. Son.
Yeah.
He's his son. Idris Elba. Plays his son.
You mean Heimdall?
Yes. He plays his son in the second one.
Was Heimdall's son?
Yes, in the second one.
In Thor: Love and Thunder.
I think about that CG face.
The fucking Zordon head.
Yep. Like Modok. But
that CGI was real bad.
It was bad.
And
bad.
Maybe it was supposed to be bad.
You do it because you know it was 200 million.
Oh, it's 200 million.
200 million.
Okay, 200 million.
I thought about that. Ant-Man.
Ant-Man's budget.
$200 million.
Yeah, 200
That doesn't seem like a lot for a Marvel movie.
Okay. First of all, I want to address that. But then I'm gonna before we get there, I'm gonna say this. Everything, everywhere, all at once was made with $15 million and has been sweeping the fucking awards. Michelle Yeoh, first Asian woman to get a SAG award at that event this past week.
I'm curious.
Ke Huy Quan, first Asian male to get that award at the SAG event. Fucking killing it. Amazing performances. $15 million. If Everything Everywhere All at Once had Ant-Man's budget, they could have made that movie, I'm real bad at math, 10 times over. More than 10.
So, about average-ish for their budgets. So, Thor: Love and Thunder was $250 million.
Yes. And I remember that because we saw Everything Everywhere All at Once like right before that. And then I was like, what the fuck?
Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was $200. Spider-Man No Way Home was $200. Eternals was $200. Shang-Chi was $150.
Because it had Asian people in it.
Winter Soldier is $170 million.
Yep.
Winter goddamn Soldier, probably one of the greatest MCU movies out.
Endgame was $400.
That shit was like 800 years long too. And it had every character ever
So Endgame was $400, but box office opening weekend was $357.
Yep. So it made its budget back easily.
Yeah.
It made over $1 billion.
Can you take a look at where Ant-Man is right now? Because I've heard reports that their box office is dog shit.
So their opening weekend was 106. For comparison, so they don't have Black Panther's costs in here, but Black Panther made 181 its opening weekend, and then Thor: Love and Thunder made 144, and then Doctor Strange was 187.
You know what I hope kicks ass at the box office? Cocaine Bear. That shit was amazing. Cocaine Bear was absolutely phenomenal.
So
it's hilarious.
I hate Cocaine Bear for one very specific, selfish, not really connected reason. I hated their marketing. They were putting up a bunch of faux, grassroots astroturfing fucking ads on Reddit. Oh my God, today I learned about this story where there was a bear that ate cocaine in the woods. Unrelated. Oh, did you know they're making a movie about this guy? That shit. But it was like that for a fucking month before this movie came out. And I got so sick of it.
The movie.
So for comparison, it says that the first Ant-Man and the second Ant-Man had the lowest budgets out of all Marvel movies.
Yes.
At 130.
And they were so much better.
Yeah. And they told the
story. There was growth. People learned lessons.
Yeah. So for Ant-Man opening weekend, they made 57. And then for Ant-Man and Wasp, they made 75. but they had $70,000 less in their budget.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like the EA problem. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but like it's something in the past like decade or so. At pitch meetings with EA, you're not saying like, I'm looking for a budget of like 200 million and I'm going to make something that might make 400 million.
Yeah.
They're going to ask you, what's going to be the next FIFA? What is going to be the next $1 billion game that you provide us?
Nah, but here's the other thing too. Ant-Man, I don't think really have. I mean, I know they have it, but in comparison for Disney properties, it's not so much necessarily their box office as toys. Toys is where they tend to make more of their money.
What are you talking about?
That's not a toy.
That's a toy.
That's memorabilia collectible.
It is.
It's a toy.
Collectible.
It's a toy.
Because I can eat out of it.
You could pee in it too.
But this actually probably goes more to AMC.
Yeah, probably.
It's probably definitely.
But AMC has to pay them licensure to be able to make the fucking thing. They make out like bandits either way. Let's just go around. Final thoughts. Ant-Man, Quantumania. I'll say the right name for the end. Is that what it's called? Because
it is Quantumania. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Is it Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I thought it was just Ant-Man.
It is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania.
Damn. Hope sucks.
They reduced her role big time because she's in shit. She's in this shitstorm with Marvel because of her
anti-vax
beliefs.
Yep.
So they cut her shit back, and that was another reason for those reshoots.
Yep, I believe it.
Yep. So they cut her shit out.
I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're going around?
Yeah, I just want to hear you guys' closing thoughts on what you thought of the movie and how you feel about it in review.
Okay.
We'll start with you.
Okay. I miss Ant-Man being a palate cleanser. Ant-Man movies came at certain points in the MCU to clean the palate from the big, grandiose shitstorm of movies. And then you get down to something intimate and like fun. And you're just like, yeah, like I just saw everybody get destroyed in this Avengers movie. And now we're just like, whew, this was good. Like, this was funny. We don't have that anymore. Now Ant-Man was slapped into a big supposedly overarching story. So he begins the story arc for Kang. I don't like that. I like Ant-Man being a palate cleanser. So that's my final thoughts. I liked it at first, but I like the initial viewing. Did not like it after I actually thought about what I was watching, which Marvel does not want you to do. They don't want you to think about it. They don't want you to sit around with your friends and talk about it. They just want you to wait for the next movie. So once I thought about it, I did not like it. It is not the worst Marvel movie ever, but it's definitely not in the top 10. Not even close. Not even top 20 for me.
For my parting thoughts, I think this is the worst Marvel movie ever. I think it is the bottom of the barrel for me because there was no single concept, character, arc, or set piece that I could find enjoyment in. There was nothing redeeming about the movie. Nobody had to learn a lesson. Nobody had to face a shortcoming. As much as I hate Iron Man 3, which was my previous worst movie in the MCU, he still had an arc. He got to grow. Even if Pepper Potts didn't have to fucking grow, even though she should, the bitch, Tony still got to grow. There was an arc. There was growth. Yep. In this movie, the problem is entirely contrived and insignificant.
Yeah.
The problem is resolved by a deus ex machina that does not align with any other principle or rule introduced thus far. And then none of the characters have to approach their actual shortcomings and failures, of which they all have some.
Yep.
Scott is not a perfect man.
Nope.
But he's
they
never...
made sure they point that out.
Yeah.
A shit ton.
But they never force him to confront his shortcomings. Nothing here forces him out of his comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And Kang is lightly salted hot dog water. Bland, uninteresting, and
she to get me hype at all.
Yeah, he's a bootleg tripod.
He's not even like a top tier villain in the comics. Like in his source, he's not like a well known.
Why not?
He's more well known than he was.
Yeah, we need more of the classic Marvel villains. Where is Doctor Doom in the MCU?
They're saving him for Fantastic Four.
There hasn't been a good Fantastic Four movie ever made.
And now Fantastic Four is going to be in the MCU.
Yeah.
So they're saving him for that.
Yep.
It's still not going to be good, and they should employ Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom should be...
I mean, they could be saving him for the next phase. That is possible, but I'm pretty sure Secret Invasion is next phase,
yeah,
which why they suddenly switched from Secret Invasion to Kang, I don't know.
Probably because nobody gives a shit about the Skrull.
Because they already screwed the Skrulls up.
Yeah.
Like they aren't who they are. Yeah, they aren't who they're supposed to be to make
the Kree,
Secret Wars
the Kree
like
are more of a threat than the Skrull.
Yeah. They flipped it.
Anyways, I wasn't trying to engender a last minute debate there. That's my closing thoughts. Victoria, our beautiful guest star, what are your closing thoughts on Ant-Man?
I do not think it was the worst Marvel film. I wish that they had gone a different direction for some of their decisions. Like, for instance, trapping Ant-Man and Wasp in the quantum realm for at least a period of time. That was not, oh, look, hey, our ride's here.
A 15-second gap was not enough weight for that kind of...
Yeah.
Like, because if they literally ended the film with them looking over and seeing like, hey, this is our life now, that's where it should have ended.
Yeah.
It should have just cut there, because then it leaves it open to future films of, if we want them back, we can bring them back. But if we are done with their characters and done with their arc, then they can just stay in the quantum realm indefinitely.
Yep.
The other issue I had was watching it. There were periods of time, so like the Star Wars 9 thing, where I'm watching it and I'm like, there aren't a lot of original ideas in here. It's not necessarily that they did it poorly or anything. Like I said, I feel that they did the call to arms better. There was just a feeling at certain points of like, oh, this feels like it's from another film, or this feels like this is from here. And I don't get that a lot watching films, because I just watch it for what it is. So for me to be like, this feels like it's a bunch of other pieces that have been mashed together into one film, that doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. I know for some people it's going to take them out of it and go, man, I really want to watch Star Wars now, or I really want to watch this, because it's like, why?
It's subliminal.
A Disney property. Yeah. Disney Plus that whole is what they
figured it out.
Tori's cracked the fucking code.
Cracked it. Yes. That's exactly what happened.
Are you familiar with Always Sunny in Philadelphia? You know, where Frank dresses up in like the wig and he's going through the art gallery. All I can imagine is her going, derivative, bullshit, derivative. Now this I love.
But like I said, I don't think it's the worst film. I think it's worth a watch, maybe two. It's one of those that I feel like if I watched it a second time, I would hate it.
Yeah.
Thinking about it a second time makes me hate it.
But it's one of those, like, because going in, I thought about watching like the first couple of Ant-Man and watching like at least the last episode of Loki. And then I was just like, I don't really want to invest that much time into this. That was the nice thing about watching the first Ant-Man. The second Ant-Man is like, you just go in and...
Their own little intimate story.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the same thing for Black Panther. Mm-hmm. Black Panther is kind of its own standalone. Like Black Panther 2, as long as you saw the first Black Panther...
You're good.
And I think that is deliberate. Because they look at their audience and realize that their demographic for Black Panther is not the person that has seen every MCU movie.
Their demographic for Black Panther thought Black Panther, the first one, was a movie about the Black Panthers. Yes. Like
100%.
Like the motherland Black Panthers. Like, that's their demographic for that fucking movie.
I think that what they need to kind of reevaluate to an extent is... the people that are coming in now, it's kind of like if I started watching One Piece all of a sudden and going, oh, there are over 1,000 episodes for me to get caught up to where everybody else is. That will literally take me like, what, 3 years?
The One Piece is real.
So for the people now that are jumping into Marvel, that are, you know,
where do you even start?
And like, sure, it's not as bad as One Piece where you're watching 1,000 episodes of something. Mm-hmm. There are a few films, but then if you start doing a deep dive of, okay, well, I got the films and now I got the TV series and now I've got the shorts.
So
where do they start?
If you take a look at an episode of One Piece, I imagine it's probably like what, 22 minutes? 20 to 24 minutes typically. Right. And then you look at, there's how many Marvel movies? There's like what, 40 something?
30.
Oh, we had 30. Oh, we have 32 or 42? Because I think
it's 32. Because they have like a bunch of shows and then it's a few scattered movies. It was like a bunch of shit in phase 4 by itself.
And we'll say an average runtime of 2 hours? Or maybe lower, maybe hour 45?
No, about 2 hours. Average time. And then you get to
31.
The big ones. So it's 31.
Ant-Man was 31. Guardians of the Galaxy would be 32.
That's what I'm excited for.
So 30 times 264.
I mean, like We watched all of the ones up until Infinity War or Endgame.
There's been like 10 more since then.
I know, but I'm saying like it's doable if you just do the movies. But unfortunately,
Okay.
the way that they
You had
have
to
it
do
set up
shows,
now,
too.
now you
Yeah.
have to do the shows because like you didn't see Loki, so you had no context for Kang whatsoever.
Yep.
I
Except,
feel like context wouldn't have helped me.
probably not, because literally all his role is in Loki is basically he shows up in the
Expedition
last episode, and it's like, yes, you know, there are multiverses, and I'm the ruler of all of them, and now I'm gonna reset your universe because you know too much, and he literally sends Loki back. And at first Loki's like, I don't know what's changed, but nobody knows who Kang is, but there's statues of him everywhere. So like that's why when you see in that one stinger when he's like, that's Kang, and Mobius is like, who?
Yeah.
Like,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Also, I hate that Owen Wilson's name is Mobius.
it's a reference
No,
to the strip.
I will. I will.
Time.
Do you think I didn't know that? The reason I was going to say why I didn't like it is because in the Soul Reaver Legacy of Kain series, the time streamer, his name is Mobius. And he's a very cool character and he's very duplicitous and he fucks with the time stream and he fucks everyone up. And Owen was like, wow, there's Kang. Wow.
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 Wow, there's a variant here. Wow.
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 Yeah. Marvel is yeah. I'm looking forward to Guardians though.
Guardians will be good.
I think Guardians is gonna be awesome.
There's gonna be an otter that talks.
It's true.
We get to see the
Rocket's
creation
origin.
of Rocket. And I don't know if
I need that.
I do.
Okay.
Like I've seen it in page form. I just need to see what they do to this Rocket because the reason, okay, I know I'm going off. We probably need to cut this thing, but
Eventually.
Rocket's emotion about what happened to him in both movies is deep.
It's visceral.
Yes, and James Gunn, even though he's a goofy bastard, he's a goofy son.
He does wait very well.
Wait, and the scenes where Rocket shows emotion about him being created and all that stuff, it's great. And I feel like we need to see how that happened and like just showing the otter and him. I mean, that shit looks so good. It just looks good.
And it's about the thing that, you know, Fast and Furious has been trying to teach us all these years.
Family.
And
Family.
Star Wars Episode 9. It's about family.
So I'm gonna ask you guys this: are you gonna watch the new Fast and Furious movie?
No.
I haven't watched it since
7?
6, I think.
Yeah.
I am goddamn excited because I want to see how ridiculous this shit gets.
I mean, that's
They
all
went
it
to
is
space
now.
in the last
Yeah.
one, bro. I gotta see how
We saw that on the hotel TV. We saw Luda and
Oh yeah, and the car.
Roman going to
Yeah,
space in the
dude,
car.
yep.
Get the fuck out.
dude.
and not dying.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to see how ridiculous, and it's got Jason Momoa in it, so it's gonna be ridiculous, and it's bringing everybody back. It's
I
like,
just think back to the Universal ride and just how
so trash. That ride is
Like,
I could not.
I was like,
not
there
do
is
it.
so much going on here.
that ride is so trash. If you could call it a ride.
I
need somebody to go with me to see. Nobody wants to see Fast.
I mean,
10
I'll
with me.
go
look.
see
See,
it.
here's the thing.
I'll go see it.
Nobody wants to see Fast 10
We
with
will
me.
go see it with you if you want. I have no interest in it individually, but as a fun thing to do with my friend, I'll do that.
Okay, because Will was like, "No, I'm done," and I'm like, "How are you done? Like, I'm not done until."
What movie was the bridge too far for you? Like, at what point was it too much?
For Will,
Yeah.
I think the last one. I think
Where they went to space?
Yeah, I think that was it. I think because when we were watching, he was just like, "No, I'm good. I'm done."
For,
I was like,
for
"Yeah."
me, it was when they revealed they had a kid.
Oh.
Actually, no. I didn't watch the one after Paul Walker died because
Okay.
I was like, once he passed, I was like, it's done.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch that one, and that's when I stopped watching it.
Okay. All right. So that was what Fast 7.
Yeah. So
So, yeah,
we
6 was my last one.
watched Fast 6 because that was the one where we were like, in what universe would he dump this absurdly hot Brazilian supermodel for Michelle Rodriguez? Because Michelle Rodriguez is fine, but a Brazilian supermodel she is not. Tori and I were both like, what the fuck is going on here?
I agree.
She was dumb fine.
She was fine, and she was a cop too.
Yeah.
But she died though. So
Did she?
yeah, she died. That's why he has the cut. That's why he has the
We don't
child.
watch it.
Yeah, I guess we didn't.
Yeah, she died.
That happened
She's
in
dead.
7. And they were like, oh, by the way, you have a kid.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's dead. So that's why he has straight on, full on custody of Orion. Look, I can't wait. Like seeing the trailer and everybody getting out the cars, like they just have it. It's like a black background. I think it's black or white.
I just
And
like
people
seeing
just
all
getting out the cars.
I just like seeing all the cars. That was so
but it's not even about cars anymore.
But that's what I love. You know, and I like to point out, I know everybody points this out. The first one, where we started, was stealing VCRs.
Mm-hmm. That's how old this series is.
Stealing VCRs.
Stealing VCRs to we're in goddamn space.
In a car.
In a car.
Well, Dom, okay, so because I enjoy how ridiculous these movies are, I just do like a tad bit of little searching.
A little
online,
tomfoolery.
you know, just looking up stuff. So, according to reports and other people involved with these movies, Dom, aka Dom Toretto, you know, he has a list of powers that each person has, like power levels. So they are treating this like a superhero,
like it's an anime.
it's almost like the Avengers. Think of it, how I'm thinking of it now is that they all are the Avengers.
So every installation is an Avengers movie.
Rather than
Yeah,
power
okay.
levels, it would have made more sense of skill set, because like they made a joke about in one of the films when this is how long ago it's been since I've seen it, but they always had Luda's character was like the computer guy and the coordinator, and then they had the other character come in and it's like, oh, so you also do the same thing I do.
Yeah. But Vin Diesel has like, he has,
character sheet.
yeah, he literally
Is he
has.
just playing D&D? Is Fast and Furious just D&D?
Yes, it's D&D with cars.
But see, the thing is, if you look at it, we're not supposed to talk about this, but I love these movies just because they're absurd. And they transition from car movies into superhero. Well, transition from car movies to heist movies to superhero type shit now.
Yeah.
In Fast 9, Dom pulls down, like he has dudes fighting him. They're beating him up on this like thing. He pulls down it's like a thing above him, and it's like metal rails that's holding it up. He pulls the whole thing down on top of him and the people that are beating him up. He falls to his death, but he lives. He lives. And during this whole movie, Roman of all people says, "Hey guys, how the hell are we surviving all this stuff? Like, is anybody, like, this shit is crazy. Does anybody feel weird about it?" And they make fun of him for it, but he's like telling the audience, like, we know this shit's ridiculous.
Is this the same movie where, like, he was talking about how even if they were to shoot a gun at him, he would still survive?
Yeah.
Because I remember that, like, scene.
Yeah. Because that
was in 10, wasn't it?
No, 9. Because that was the one where they went to space. But it was like right before they went to space, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they have a whole, like, he talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a sequence
Because
specifically with
everybody
him.
ducks or something.
Yeah.
Like when the enemy comes in, everybody ducks, and he's just like,
Yeah.
we're not gonna die, we're fine.
Yeah. Like he has a whole sequence where he is driving, because, you know, everybody drives around.
Everyone drives.
And they getting shot at. He falls off a cliff. The car lands like this. He's here. The car falls over. It narrowly misses him. He's like, see, like, how is this supposed to happen? They know it's ridiculous. And when you realize that it's ridiculous,
And they know it's ridiculous.
As long as it's self-aware,
but that's when you have
fine.
me. That's if you treated this like this was the most serious thing ever.
The 7th one
Fast 7.
was the one where it felt like it was not self-aware, but still anime style.
That still had
kinda
Brian. That's it. They started to get ridiculous when The Rock got into it, which was Fast 5.
Well, okay, but that was still kind of grounded.
It was grounded as far as I have a broken arm. I'm going to break out of my cast, grab a machine gun off of a tank, and I'm going to, a down plane, helicopter, and I'm going to shoot people. Yeah, so that's how grounded Fast 5 was. Fast 4, or Fast and Furious 4.
I think you might be thinking Fast 6.
No, Fast 5 had The Rock. That was like when The Rock got in there.
Yeah, but
Oh, well, yeah, Fast 6 was that scene.
Yeah, because Fast
was when he
Five.
first got it. He was the villain in Fast Five.
And Fast Five was the one where they had the safe.
Yeah,
they were dragging.
it.
That shit was tight.
That was probably one of my favorite ones.
Yeah,
like, Fast Five was amazing. Fast Six was when he broke
that was the first one that I had seen. Because I hadn't seen any.
Did I not make you watch Tokyo Drift?
you got the box set that had like the little wheel on it, and then we hadn't watched any of the movies.
Tokyo Drift.
So again, love the cars in Tokyo Drift. That high schooler that they had cast as the lead.
Yeah, he's old as shit. He is old as shit. But yes, I am excited for Fast 10.
When is that supposed to come out?
May.
Not like we have anything else going on in May.
I'm excited. And if I have to go see by myself, I've seen a shit ton of movies by myself.
We will absolutely come see that with you. Make plans. We will absolutely come see that.
And I will, before it happens, I will watch probably 8 and 9, and then that one, you know, to lead up to that one.
If you would like to do a Fast and Furious marathon where we watch all of the movies so I can get caught up to where everyone else is.
Don't say that, because you know I'm down.
I know.
You know I'm down. You gotta come to my house to watch it.
100%.
You gotta come to my house to watch it.
We'll pick a day.
Just do a riff track.
Don't do it, because I have all of them.
Yeah, I know for a fact.
I have the big ass box set, and then I have the ones that came out after the box set. Yeah,
make a day. Make a day of it.
We'll do it. We don't have to do it in a whole day. We can do we're
gonna do it in a whole day.
It's 9 movies.
Fully aware, and they are long.
Yeah, they're like 2 hours and some change.
It's like 18 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll start at 6 a.m. and we'll end at midnight.
Okay.
Easy.
Hey, all right. We had to DoorDash everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Just had them bringing food, and all right, I'm down.
Get a healthy supply of energy drinks. Will be fun.
Like, I would say split it up at least into 2 days. Like,
no.
Make it a weekend event.
Nope. All one day.
Dude, you're not gonna make it.
I absolutely will.
You're not gonna make it. I'm gonna be hyped, but you're not gonna.
I'm a man of sufficient constitution if driven to such needs. But we could sit here and talk all night.
I know.
This is a great group.
This is
Tori, thank you for joining us.
Yes, appreciate that.
And DV, thank you for helping me get to 10 episodes. This has been a pleasure.
Yeah, man.
And hopefully this is not the last episode.
I hope not.
That'd suck real bad.
I hope not.
But also, thank you to all of you for making this fun to make.
Yes.
This has been a blast. Truly. Ant-Man's dog shit.
Yeah.
Just thank you. It's been fun. And it will continue to be fun, I hope. And we'll see you for episode 11, hopefully next week.
Peace.
You gonna do any sort of goodbye there, or you're just gonna stare off into the sunset? Any sort of, you wanna just give like a little like a bye, like a wave goodbye to the nice man, like any sort of action up that way, maybe.
Oh, you're just waiting for me to do something?
Yeah, I'm fully waiting for you to acknowledge the camera's existence and say goodbye.
That's how I know it's real.
What the fuck was that? I know you're capable of this. I believe in you.
Man, just cut the feed, bro. Just cut the feed.
All right, bye. Bye, everybody.